is not, a giant movement, right? Because then the longer you go, that's the longer it's going to take to get back. A good slip is small. It's real tiny, right? It's just enough to get out of the way, and then you come right back, right? Little motion away, little motion back, puts you right back in a position to then counter or do whatever you need to do. Holy crap. Kelvin Gastelum slipping is phenomenal. Slipping is not just hard because it's a tiny movement. You have to be able to recognize when something is coming and make a quick decision. It's an athletic skill. It's a hand-eye coordination kind of thing. It's a depth perception kind of thing. It's an understanding of the greater context kind of thing. His slipping in this fight gave Adesanya a ton of problems. We're going to look at it. On the other side, why was Adesanya able to win? In the end, despite how gifted and talented Gastelum was, and I'll explain why, with boxing fundamentals, including but not limited to very, very clever and important slipping, the difference was that in the end, Adesanya made reads. He made reads off of what Gastelum was successfully doing, and then by the fourth and fifth round, took all of that away. Let's go to the slides. Let's start with Gastelum. We're going to look at what he did, and then we're going to look at what Adesanya did in terms of the overall. Now, as I always mention, I'm not suggesting this to you to be the best or the most important or the only analysis. There are many other people who have talked about it. Please go look at what they have to say as well to get a broader and more complete picture. I am very much summarizing what they call in political polling top-line findings. These are just top-line findings. There's a lot of smaller findings in there that carry significant consequence. I just don't have time to get to them. So what were Gastelum's major, not only, but major weapons? Number one, weaving and hopping into range. It's one thing to slip punches just to get out of the way and be right back. You guys ever seen those boxers that take the rope and they go from one end of the room to the other, and then they slip underneath as they go through? It's called a slip line. That's what that's called. You see really good boxers, they'll weave through all those things. He was using like a slip line action to get inside. This fight was fought really far away for both guys, even for Adesanya to an extent. They had to find ways to get close enough to clash, and then whoever defined the terms of that best typically won the exchange. One way he was able to get close in was weaving, clever weaving. So it wasn't really that he was slipping and then countering. He was also being far away and then using weave patterns off a slip line exercise to get close. Secondly, he would hop into range. I was noticing, like, how does Kelvin Gastelum, who had a 9-inch reach disadvantage, who does his best work with his hands, how does he keep getting into range? He would circle, not always, typically to his outside. He didn't circle towards his power hand. He would circle away from it to set the angle for it, right? And he would just hop, not like super hop, but a little bit like a small hop into range to get there in a circular range. Why could he do that? Because Adesanya, this is such a simple yet brilliant idea. Adesanya has this style where when he sees you coming, he doesn't just, as he talks about, he doesn't just hope and throw. He's not an AK-47 spraying the block. If you guys know anything about the AK-47, one of its major benefits is that you can put dirt all up in the barrel and the chamber and everything else, and it still kind of fires, but it's not very accurate. But you can just hold the trigger down, it's fully automatic, and you can just spray the block. That's why it's really good for a drive-by, because you're just spraying indiscriminately. That is not what Adesanya is. He is not an AK-47. He's a sniper rifle, which means he has to be calm and deliberate and take his time before he throws. He can hop into range because there's this moment where Adesanya doesn't just react. He actually waits and then tries to throw something. In that waiting period, Gastelum would hop into range and then slip. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. That's how he kept getting into space on him. Second, the inside slip and counter. As I mentioned, he would constantly inside slip. Now, what's an inside slip? If the punch is coming this way, Gastelum is slipping towards his power side. There's a couple of times where he slips to the outside, but you can tell he doesn't like the balancing from it. He really likes to slip to the inside, and then he would just throw heavy counters. Three, he would literally hold on. Did you see how he dropped Adesanya the first time? He actually, you guys remember go back and watch my Adesanya breakdowns. What was one thing he did when he exits? He puts a hand on the shoulder to keep the opponent away as he circles out. A lot of people just circle out and they don't really, think about an armbar. It's two-way pressure, right? Hips go in, wrist comes back. It's two pressures at once. So not only is he exiting with his feet, that's one pressure, he's got another sort of Heisman stiff arm that prevents him from getting close. Gastelum takes that hand, passes it to the other one, and then cracks him. He literally holds on. He does that in several rounds. Brilliant. That's a well-scouted opponent. Whoever came up with that at King's MMA, salute to you. That is brilliant. I caught that and I was like, ooh, clever, clever. Very smart, man. 4, double and triple up on his combos. You would see him throw single shots. But what's one thing that Adesanya likes to do? He does use his feet to escape, but he does a lot of leans and trunk movement. And 99% of the time or 90% of the time, it works really well for him. Sometimes, though, he can get caught backing up or picking the wrong angle. And if you double and then triple up on your punches and you keep moving into someone, maybe you miss the first, maybe you miss the second. Get him on the third. 5, feints and more feints. I'm telling you, man, this fight should be a wake-up call to people about Kelvin Gastelum's upside. He's still young, that he can slip so easily and that he has feints and he can marry it with level changes and the whole bit. He had Adesanya not frozen, but thinking enough where he was able to put together some of these other things and then land. So this is a general overview of what he did. So I have my iPad back today. What about Adesanya? He switched stance in this fight, but not nearly as much. He was predominantly sitting in the opposite stance. He was, I believe, if Gastelum, I think was southpaw, he was orthodox. He was the open side. I believe that's right. I have to go back. We'll look at the tape here. But he was favoring the right side. So yes, he was standing orthodox. Just sorcery from him on this right side. So he has all different kinds of setups and attacks that enable the right side. Let's start with the kicking. You'll see a whole sequence. He does the back leg teep. He does the question mark kick. Then he'll do a teep to the gut. Then he'll do a teep to the face. And they all look the same. So you can't quite tell exactly what's going to come your way. When he really begins to mix that up and get into a rhythm, it can be a problem. Sometimes he'll look like he's faking with the right knee and then come over the top with the right hand. The point being is from his right side, he's got a lot of looks that start the same and that end totally different. And he's constantly landing on you, constantly fooling you. His right side plus just power kicks to the body, right, to really hurt the body of Kelvin Gastelum, going right to the gut over and over again. That was sort of wearing on him a little bit. He might fake high the first time and then go to the body the second time. I mean, just all kinds of tricks over and over and over from that right side. Absorb pressure with trunk movement and stance switching. So a lot of times he'll use stance switching if you crowd him to evade so he can find the best angle to get away. And again, it's a lot of times where he uses that post, right? So that's one. The other one was using trunk movement. You'll see Gastelum push him into the warning track that's behind the 2 black lines, and you're watching. It's not exactly slipping because slipping is a short, tiny movement, but like big trunk movement to get out of the way, find an opening, and then exit. He was really good about absorbing that, and that would also, by the way, set up a lot of counter strikes, often from the right side. 3, distance close and then stance switch. So not only was he using stance switch to evade, he would use it to distance close. We have talked about that a million times. I'm not going to go over that in great detail. But remember, if you're standing in this stance and then you bring your leg up high and come forward, now you're in the right-handed or now you're in a left-handed stance. So you've not only changed stance, but you've gotten closer. He would do that and then marry all different kinds of offense from it. Typically, he would do a punch off of it at a 90-degree angle, which is so he's changing up distance, switch, distance, stance, and angle all at once. Feints and more feints. If you don't know anything about the guys from City Boxing, they believe that feinting is the most important thing a fighter can do in the striking department. They believe that it's the reason why they have an advantage over the rest of MMA. Not in the grappling department, not in anything else, but because if they can feint, and there's all different kinds of feint setups, different looks, different timing. By the way, both Kelvin Gastelum and Adesanya, brilliant half-beat timing, which we always talk about. Again, I don't have time to list it all. But they both had really good success with that. And the feinting. So they believe if one person feints and the other one doesn't, the feinter should always win. Or if both feint and one's better at feinting, then ultimately that person should win. But Kelvin Gastelum gave him a run for his money, not doing the same feints, but using feints to his own specific purposes. And then last but not least, maximize counters and angles. That kind of leads into some of this other stuff. But what he was doing was he was getting a reaction out of Gastelum, setting the angle, and then tearing him up. And that, by the way, that goes especially late into the fight where he is making all the reads, right? Making all the reads, seeing what he's doing, and then adjusting from there. I didn't spend as much time on Adesanya's weapons because we've talked about them so much. They were slightly more conventional this time than in the Silva fight, but still highly effective. Very quickly, just look at some of this data here. This is the overall totals. Gastelum in red, Adesanya in blue. Adesanya 64 to the head by targeting 14 and 21. Here is one thing that people do not appreciate about his game. You can get wide variance here. Typically, he goes to the head more than anything else, but I've seen this as low as 50%, where the other ones are carrying 25 and 25 respectively. That is highly unusual for a striker. That you typically do not see that. Here is one thing people keep getting wrong about Adesanya. Oh, he doesn't have the biggest power. Okay, he's got good power, but maybe not the best power in the division. Fine, all right, whatever. Oh, he can be hit. Okay, all right, I mean, yes, he's not impervious to that. Or whatever other excuse you want to come up with. Here's what they don't realize. If he can't land on you to the head, he goes to the body. If he can't land onto you the body, he goes to the leg. If he can't land onto the leg, he finds a whole lot of other things to do. In other words, he may not win by just shutting the lights off of everybody, but he can win by accumulating damage over time in modular, diverse ways to the point where he can then set a pace on you. People do not understand that about Adesanya. I do not know why there is this prevailing skepticism about this point. No one is a perfect fighter, but when you look and go through his totals and see how different these numbers get, highly, highly varied. He can beat you a lot of different ways by targeting you in ways most other strikers can't. Never lose sight of that. Gastelum, typically a headhunter, 13% to the body, 12% to the leg. That's not totally unusual, but that is on the aberrant side. He's typically a very heavy headhunter. For him to vary it like that shows you the kind of game plan he was working with. And then last but certainly not least, the overall striking totals here. Oh, this is the Vettori fight. We'll come back to that. I had a point I wanted to make about it, but we can skip it for now. Let's get into it. All right, I'm going to go round by round. Some of these are going to be pro Gastelum clips. Some of these are going to be pro Adesanya. We'll just have to look. So here we go early in the round. What is he doing here? Feinting, trying to set the angle. You see Adesanya try to react. He parries it and gets out of the way. Resets. There's that hop. Watch this. See that hop? And then he weaves, slips, counters. Look at this. How brilliant is this? Watch Kelvin Gastelum. Comes in, fakes, weaves, slips, counters. And then, watch this. Holds on to him, passes the hand, and then connects. Isn't that brilliant from Kelvin Gastelum? I mean, I have all the respect and more for Adesanya. We're going to show good stuff from him. You all know I've been promoting him forever. Takes the post, passes it to that, and then pow. He can't get away. What he does is, if this right hand is on Gastelum's right shoulder, he's impeded. So he passes it. Now the imposition is gone, and you can connect on him. That is, wow. That whole sequence was, Kelvin Gastelum is a bad mamma jamma, dude. Wow. That is super, super smart. And then he follows up from here. Let's see this one. Watch. You see him circling away, as I had mentioned, right? So here he is. Watch him. Here he is. He takes the hop. See the hop? And he's got the dominant foot angle. Now, that's not always going to serve you against a striker the caliber of Adesanya, but you get the idea. And he goes to the body because he knows I need to invest low, then go high, slow him down, whatever I can do. Nice. All right, here we are, still in the first round. This was the common scenario, southpaw orthodox. Not always, but common. Watch. Takes the angle, hops in, still holding on to him. Adesanya recognizes it and gets out. And then question mark kicks above. Let's see how he circles out. And that's it. Just showing you how he's closing that distance. Here it is. Just hops. But he hops at an outside angle so he can see everything coming. And you can see Adesanya just doesn't blitz. He waits, and it gives just enough of a tiny little small window for Gastelum to get inside. Boom, and there you go. All right, here we go. Weaving. A little bit of a slip line drill. And then look at this from Adesanya. Watch his defense. So he's weaving. Adesanya decides to throw, pulls it, misses. Gastelum misses with the right, puts his hand up, misses with another right, and then misses with a left. Boom. Now, he almost cracks him here. That's the counter I'm talking about. Pulling a reaction out of him, resetting the angle. Like the Hagler-Holloway connection, he can go side to side, depending on how he wants to be. Ends up in orthodox, just misses. Gets blocked. Still in the first round, coming to the end of it here. Ready? So this is my favorite trick from Adesanya. Can't tell what's coming. Is it going to be a question mark kick? What's it going to be? A teep? He decides to go to the body, and then before he can even come down, drops the right hand on you, and then resets the angle here. Right? Pop, pop. Does that all the time. And then gets you moving at 90 degrees. Here we are. First round still. Kelvin Gastelum. Feinting. Resetting the angle. Feinting. There's Adesanya. Testing things out. Here he is. What does he do? Fakes it from the right side. We talked about those right side attacks, right? He changes stances, distance, and what do you think he's going to do? Pop. Misses a little bit here, but you can see him putting things together. And then Gastelum, I believe, is going to respond in kind. Let's see. Feinting, hopping to the side. Doing it again. Look at all the feints from Kelvin Gastelum. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Right? Adesanya has his own, though. Watch Gastelum slip. That's a slip. Look at how little Gastelum's head moves. It's just that. But look at the consequences of it. Look at how much space you have to attack as a result. Boom, and they separate. All right, end of the first round. Steps in again. Same kind of trick as before. Throws. Gastelum slips. Pow. Kind of doubles up on it. Does a pump fake. 1, 2. And then kind of holds on to him a little bit. All right, second round. Here we go. We got to burn through this. Not too fast, though. Look at all these setups. Adesanya changing angle, lowering stance, feinting. Can't quite tell which way his hips are shifting, right? Gastelum staying in motion, side to side, feinting, pulling out. There's a lot of hand fighting at the opposite stance that's happening here, which is his whole science. I can't get into it. What does Adesanya land? Look at this shot. Gastelum has his elbow down, but he lifts it just a little bit, and Adesanya, like a knife, brings it right under the elbow. That is wicked. Look, the elbow. Look at that little window. That's the tiniest of windows. Not for Israel Adesanya. Pow! Hurts. Nice shot from him. All right, here's southpaw. What am I saying? Let's see what happens. Little feints from both guys. Little reset of the distance. Gastelum slips. Backs up. Stance switch. Nice shot from Izzy. Puts his hand out to separate. And then resets the angle. Gastelum's going to pressure in. That's a nice shot from Israel Adesanya. Starts out orthodox. Kind of fakes. Goes to the body. Look again. Another knife. It's not this. It's this. It's a scooping shot. Pushes away. Switches stance. Nice shot. Here's Gastelum, second round. Kind of hopping to the side. And by the way, part of that hop is pulling down that front hand. That way he knows the punches can only be coming from one side, and so it's going to make it easier to slip. Yep. Boom. Look at the timing on this. Catches Israel flat-footed, right? He's bouncing. He does this a lot. Well, he'll bounce in space and then make a move into closing distance. And so he kind of disguises the timing a little bit. You think he's coming down. Changes his stance. Pop. Catches him on the half beat. Didn't see it coming at all. Brilliant timing from Kelvin Gastelum. That was nice. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like, I knew Kelvin was a good striker. Don't get me wrong. I didn't know he was quite this good. I take my hat off to him. I mean, I had my respect, now times 10. But the better man that night, as Gastelum said himself, was Adesanya. You're going to begin to see him slowly turn the tide here a little bit. He had a good round in the second round, too, by the way. Slip. And there you go. Look at all that feinting, all that readjusting, recircling to the far side. Boom, boom. There's that same shot as before, right? Coming up, block, pow. Same kind of sequences over and over again. Look at this. So we saw Kelvin Gastelum's good timing. Israel Adesanya says, I will see your good timing and I will raise it. Gets his hands up, and as soon as it's not up at the major point, but when it's coming down from the major point, in between beats, boom, crushes him. Boom, almost. Dodges it, and then again, pull him out of it, get the better angle, and there you are, push off. Here we are again, third round now. Let's watch. Gastelum's now circling in towards his power hand, which he typically did not do, trying to catch him on the half beat, just misses. Look at Adesanya lean and get out of the way. Boom! He began to do more of that in the third and fourth and fifth round. Getting Kelvin to commit in space, retreating, watching it, and then setting it. But you notice Adesanya doesn't just fire. He waits and like a sniper tries to catch him on it. Pow! Like that. And then follows up. Second round. Let's see what happens. Gastelum getting a little more flat-footed now. There's that hop I told you about with the hand out to control so you can sort of see what's coming. Misses with one. Now look at that angle. Just happened to be far enough away. But Gastelum pivots. Good footwork from Kelvin Gastelum. Doesn't retreat with his feet stumbling underneath. Just pivots off the front and then catches him coming in. Hands down. Nice shot from Kelvin Gastelum. And then 1, 2. Again, you notice he's putting punches in bunches together, as they say, right? Here we are in the third round. Adesanya closes with the left, gets parried, throws with the right. Look at him still slipping. And by the way, notice where he's slipping. To the power side. Slipping, catches him, 2, misses. Here we go. Same thing, Adesanya getting back. By the way, Adesanya, one thing he did I didn't mention on the rundown, he always does a good job of either staying out of this space or minimizing time here. He gets off the fence early. And one thing I didn't even look at in all of this is he's really good about using submissions as a way of either finishing a fight, at least in this time, or creating scrambles. Like, I don't think he was going for the guillotine to create a scramble, but it did, and it was beneficial. I don't think he was going for the triangle to create a scramble, but it did, and therefore it was beneficial. Here we are, rotating. There he is, holding the hand down so you can see the entry point. And here is where Adesanya, fourth round, 341. All this time we've been watching Gastelum slip to the inside. Now Adesanya knows this dude keeps slipping to the inside. So what am I going to do? I'm going to fake, pull his hand out. I know he's going to slip to the inside, and I'm going to catch him just like that. That's called making reads, ladies and gentlemen. That is what won him this fight in the end. Here he is, and again, setting the angle, giving him weird looks, right? And they clinch and separate, and there you go. Fourth round, pawing. Let's see what happens. Gastelum tries to set the angle, does a weave drill. Adesanya misses. Gastelum ducks under twice. Look at this. This is amazing. Steps left, steps right. Pow. Just got out of the way. Adesanya's defense is just remarkable, obviously. Slips to the outside this time. Lands a left and then another left because he stays in position and he puts shots together, right? I'm kind of hustling through this given the time constraints. We're almost done here. He does like a shift a little bit here and then catches him with the leg kick or the kick to the head. Why did that work? Because he hadn't thrown it all fight. That's the end of that, and then follows up here very quickly. You guys all know the story. I'm running out of time. Blah, 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 blah. And then this thing here where he shot in after hurting him, he did it a couple of times. I do think that was a bad choice in the end. Okay, here, fifth round. Now Gastelum, this is, if you look at the striking totals from this fight, Adesanya landed more punches and strikes in this round than he did in any other round he's had in the UFC, except for the last round he had against Wilkinson, where he just bombed on him. But this is the second most ever in a UFC fight for him. Nice shot to the body again. Here we go. Adesanya faking, and then comes over the punch with that right. And then this time, Adesanya marries it with a left, and then another right, and then make sure to get out of the way, putting his own punches and strikes together. He circles out. Here comes Gastelum. Watch this. From the right side, teep to the leg. From the right side, question mark kick. From the right side, push kick. Right side sorcery. You never know what's going to happen there. Always switching it up. Here we are, Kelvin Gastelum hopping in range, putting that hand down so he can see what's happening. Throws the left, nicely done, stays in there, but Adesanya circles out. Here's Adesanya feinting. Look at him switch his hips. Look at him there. Whoop, feints it, stutter steps, and then just lands the perfect off-timed right hand. Oh, what a shot of beauty. Takes the angle. Look at this. Takes the angle. He doesn't come just straight. He's anticipating him retreating this way, so he just kind of shifts a little bit. And then, pow! What a shot! What a shot that is. Like Cameron said, hits you from angles. Woo! Good Lord, that is amazing. Low shot from Gastelum. Look at that, just misses, and then he catches him here. Why? Partly because he gets him out of position, and also because he's not really in a position to slip. He tries to roll, and now he just isn't in a spot to slip. He's been hit. He's been thrust with his trunk movement. When he can slip is when he can see everything coming in a direct attacking line, not a defensive posture position, and then just drops him. And that's it. You can put the thumbnail up. That's basically the whole story there. What a fight between two quality middleweights. What a fight between two quality strikers. Kelvin Gastelum, if you didn't respect him before, you better. And if you still got doubts about Stylebender, you're just hopeless. It's like climate change. It snowed outside. It must mean that there's no such thing as climate change. Oh, but there is. Oh, but there is. It is an impressive performance from this guy. Your new UFC interim middleweight champion. He can do so many things, and now he's going to do it with gold wrapped around his waist. That is the Monday Morning Analyst. All right. If I'm not mistaken, what's the word, Danny Segura? All right, let's, can we switch to him now? How's it going to go? All right, we got Adesanya on Skype. We're going to set up the camera here and make sure everything's good because I ask a lot from the production crew here. Man, what a fight. One of the best fights really in UFC title history. Frankly, one of the best middleweight fights I think I've seen in a long time. And one of these fights where I just don't know how, when it's over, you can have a lesser opinion of either guy. I see some people, look, I can imagine other middleweight divisional rivals wanting to do that, but I don't know how not unbiased, but people who don't have skin in the game, I just don't know how you can come to that conclusion. It's just too much. All right, let's go to him now. He's your interim UFC middleweight champion of the world, and he joins us now here on the MMA Hour. Israel Adesanya, look at him. The champ is here. Hi, champ.
What's up, man?
You know what? You look good, man. How do you feel?
Jesus Christ. I don't know. Well, first it was a dragonfly, but now it's some kind of other bug in the room.
The bugs
really
love you.
Bugging me. Fun. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I feel like a champ, man. Like I said, since day one, since I got into this game, I mean, Luke, come on. I know you were a believer. You saw what I could do. You were watching from an unbiased view, watching the skills. Fuck all the talk, fuck all the hype, and fuck all the, they're pushing him too fast and this and that. They want him to be champ. Skills pays the bills, and it's real Israel. So, yeah, I mean, let them hate, Luke. Let them hate. They're just, salt bay. I'm just going to put the salt on their wounds because they're like, oh, but we're going to fight you. And so, dude, some people say they gave him 2, 3, and 4. I don't know who the fuck gave him the third round. How in the world do you give him the third round? Luke, tell them. No. I don't understand. They're hopeless, like you said. They're hopeless. So let them hate, because guess what? If you ain't got haters, you ain't doing it right.
You know what I've noticed, Israel? It's like I can think of no better someone told me this, like there's no amount of success you can have in this world without drawing a degree of negativity. You're living proof of that.
100%. Facts. Hey, before me, there was Jesus. Well, I'm not saying I'm even close. I'm just saying, no matter who you are, you're going to have haters. So I just welcome it now. And they're going to come from all angles, and they're going to attack me with their selective outrage on certain things. So, yeah, I don't even care now. I'm just like, I've never cared really, but it really, like, after a while, I still get surprised that, like, are you like, were you born as an abortion or something? I don't understand,
All right, so let's talk about some of the things in the fight itself. Have you gone back and watched it? And if so, what did you take from it?
I watched it twice now. I've watched it twice, and man, fucking cajones. I got them cajones, man, honestly. Both of us do. But you look, the camera was on me right before the 5th round. And I said, I looked at him and I was like, I'm prepared to die. And then it cut to him. So I think I said after that, like heart of a lion. Like I was willing to go out on my shield at that point. And I took him out on the shield. Like I dropped him, I think. The whole fight, I rocked him 6 times or 7 times. 2 of them were subtle. And then he shot for the takedown right after, because he's game. But he rocked me twice. Never put me on my ass. The first time the cage, I had my wits about me and the cage saved me. I got good balance, but yeah, twice, and I rocked him 7 times, 6 times. Fuck, what a fight, what a night, and what a guy. Honestly, what a guy, what a dance partner he is. Like, that's the shit that legends are made of. Fights like that. That's some movie type shit. That's some Rocky type shit. And in the end, I wished I used my right hand rather than the left elbow at the last 10 seconds because he was right there lined up for it. But yeah, fuck. Wow, that's it.
All right, let's talk about Kelvin Gastelum. I have to tell you, I had great respect for him before. Anybody who puts himself in a title position, you have to take seriously. And even though you were the better man that night, and certainly there can be no doubt about that, I have to tell you, I was amazed at his boxing. Putting the punches together, his slipping was extraordinary. Yeah, were you like halfway through the fight being like, he's a little tougher than I thought he was?
I already knew he was tough, but he was a little harder to hit than I thought he was. Early on, but then later on I found my rhythm with the right hand. The kicks, fuck, I had some shit for him with the kicks, but he wouldn't let me get them off, And at one point, this is his fault, but also my stupidity. I let him try to hit me with the jab. My distance, I know Doug Viney, one of my trainers, he was just like, distance cunt, fucking, that's what he always says to me anyway, from the day one. But I should have known my distance for that jab, and he had it from the hip. He was firing it. The left hand I took care of pretty well, but the jab, he was able to land. So that's why this side of my face is a little bit puffy. I look like a dumpling right now.
Yeah, you look all right, though. By the way, nothing's broken, right? Just a little swollen.
Nope, just swole. I'm just swole. That's all right. I mean, everything's swole right now. The checks, too.
Yeah, you know what? Let me put that. I know you're not going to reveal what you got. Dude, I'm just going to say this, and if you're not getting paid Diddy money for a fight like that, something is wrong with the world.
Don't worry. Hey, this fight really cemented my status as, okay, like even Dana said, Israel's a big star after this fight. They're going to keep talking about this fight. So we'll sit down before the Robert Whittaker fight. I know I get pay-per-view points because we don't really have ESPN Plus in Oceania. So definitely get pay-per-view points for that next fight. And we're going to sit down and renew the contract or review it and see, what's fair is fair. I mean, 2 fight of the nights. I mean, they've never done that. Shout out to Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. What a fucking fight. I had to go back and watch that as well. Crazy shit. But, yeah, I mean, trust me, we're working behind the scenes. And the UFC, they love me, and I respect them too.
All right, let's talk about that 5th round. Got to tell you, man, that was one of these moments where, as an observer, you're like, it's gut check time for one of these guys. And then to come out of that round and put your stamp on it, I have to tell you, Israel, here's one thing I've noticed. There are, of course, still some skeptics for whatever reason. However, you converted a lot of skeptics with that 5th round. You went out there and just took that fight by the scruff of the neck. What was your mindset heading into that? Did you know you had to go and just put on an epic performance in that 5th round to win?
I don't do points. I don't do rounds. I know I want to touch them and rack up the points. I understand that. But I don't do like, I'm down this round. I don't think about that while I'm in the fight. You see a lot of guys ask, did I lose that round? And Eugene never told me, oh, you lost that round. Or he just told me, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do. Do this. He never you need to do this. You need to do that. He never let me know you're losing this fight or anything, because we're never losing. And I watched the fight now objectively, even if it wasn't me, objectively. I had round 2 and round 3. And he had round 1 and round 4. So round 5, it was down to it. But for me, when I was in round 5, all I knew was fuck, I got rocked. All right. And I just remember, Eugene said to us, we got to go to that place. We got to go to that place. And he said that to me before on the Airdyne. When you're on the Airdyne, he said, you go to that place. Stay focused. You have to think, because a lot of times you want to coast when you're on the Airdyne, but you have to stay focused and know that because you can see your heart rate as well on the heart rate monitor. You can see it going up. So he said you got to go to that place. And then Brad Riddell, shout out to Brad, he won this weekend as well. He said, he always says to me when we're there, like, go numb, embrace the darkness, you know. And a lot of these guys, they just adopted the darkness. I was born in the darkness. So for real, man, I kept on saying that, like, embrace the darkness, embrace the darkness. And I kept on saying, I have vehicle. And when that fifth round came, he came at me, but then I started to catch him. I started to pop him. Hey, guess who got pops in his shots now, man? I always have pop in my shots, but yeah, I started to tap him. And then there's one point I rocked him, and I was just like, come on. And I walked him down, and then he might have shot or something, but I wasn't taking a back step. I went at him, and bro, he's tough. He's tough to finish. I dropped him like 4 times in that last round. I don't think no one's ever done this to me ever, but no one's ever done that to him either.
Where does this rank on your combat sports accomplishments? This has got to be the top of the food chain, man.
Definitely. I mean, I said Anderson was one of probably the hardest fighter I've had. Not just like the chess match we had, but for me, the mental barrier I had to overcome before the fight to fight him. But this fight, the mental barrier I had to overcome during the fight, and the physical, barrier as well. So yeah, this was the hardest fight of my life. I mean, and dude, me and him, we shared something in there. And for me, I'm grateful that I still have my wits about me. I'm still lucid. Yeah, props to him, man. He's a great dance partner, and I'm pretty sure I'll defend my belt against him another time.
It's almost the perfect culmination, Israel, of the last 14 months and this ride you've been on. Now that you're almost certainly going to get a break now, which is long overdue. You've been off 1,000 vacations at this point. But can you talk about the last 14 months? I'll be honest, skepticism, I don't know. I guess it's the right word. It's not that I didn't believe in your abilities. I do. But there was like one fight after the other where you were like, I'm going to take a break, and then you wouldn't. And I've seen a lot of fighters trip up along the way. Somehow you maintained focus. I'm wondering how you did it.
For me, it's my team and my friends and family, the people I keep around me, You have to have the right people in your life who want the best for you. And people in my position, you get a lot of leeches who don't want the best for you necessarily, and they'll be looking for ways to plot your downfall. So yeah, I find times in between training to have fun and still live. I still hang out with my friends. I might go to a bar once in a while. Go to the movies. Go do something crazy like losing or whatever. But when it's time to work, I work hard and I work smart. So yeah, but my foot's been on the pedal. I've taken my foot off it a little bit over the last 14 months, but now it's just time to just fucking pull the handbrake and just train. Because when you're training, the way I've been training, you're training. I've been upskilling in between the fights, but you also have that pressure of a fight coming up. So I'm doing the VO2 max, the alactic capacity, alactic power, lactic capacity, all that kind of stuff. But now we're just going to take all that away and just train for purely skill. And I'm just going to have fun getting better, man, because there's some shit I did in that fight that I was like, man, you guys didn't even know. I can throw up the triangles like a fucking gangster, man. I can fucking snatch necks like a fucking guillotine, I mean, fuck. I got some more tricks up my sleeve. You guys haven't even seen my takedowns yet. You haven't even seen my saw a little bit of my guard game, a little bit, but I got some more tricks up my sleeve, man. I'm a magician.
How do you feel after the last 14 months? I mean, how different is your life at home now? You haven't been home yet, obviously. You're still here in the States, but the last 14 months, is there any way to describe what it's been like?
For me, I've said this, I keep that same energy. And for me, I forget who I am all the time. I forget I'm on TV because people would just run up on me and I'd be like, what the fuck do I know? And but bro, I'm that's right, yeah. I'm famous. Hey, what's up, man? How are you? And I'll take a picture or whatever. But I still see me as just me. I walk around bare feet, during the summer and I look homeless. And people sometimes, they don't even approach me because they like, not just another black guy. It looks like him though, and it kind of hides me in plain sight. So I'm still me, but everyone around me or the people around me change. So that's why the people that I keep in my circle, I keep the ones that stay real and stay true and still treat me as me. I don't like people coming up to me who I've known for years and they're starting to act like groupies. I'm like, what is this? And I check them and I don't like that. I just still treat me as me because I'm still me. I have that. I'm the same guy. I just evolved. ain't nothing changed but the change.
I saw a little bit of it. I didn't get a chance to hear the sound because I had my phone with me and I was with family. I saw you got a bit of an impromptu haka dance in the back after your win. Yeah?
Yeah. That was from John Hollis. He's a guy from one of the team. He's like part of our team, and also a junior fight. He's a heavyweight boxer who's he's helping Deontay Wilder right now train for his next fight. So he's out there in Alabama. So he just came down to support. And on the way back to the hotel, there was a lot of fans outside, and those two, and my brother David as well. He was on the side. I think he kind of forgot the moves from high school, but he was on the side just doing it as well, catching the energy. But yeah, for me, that was cool. And I was just already in tears anyway. And that was just special because he was there. My teammate, BJ Bland, who was one of my main training partners for this camp, I brought him out here so he can see that we run this shit. So he was there as well. I gave him a hug. I gave my boy Eden, my flatmate, my little brother. He's a fighter as well. And I gave him a hug. I was already emotional. My cousins were there. They came out from LA to support me. Yeah. And yeah, I was blown away.
Is that the first time your teammates have celebrated you in that kind of way?
Yeah. And all you need is two, even one. That's all you need. You can feel the love and feel the vibe. And those who don't get it, shut your fucking mouth if you don't understand the culture. Because I saw a lot of people from the retweets like, "Oh, New Zealand stopped this," all cringe. I'm like, what the fuck do you think you are? And you expect people to respect your culture, but you can't respect anyone else's culture. So for me, I really appreciated that. Like that hit the soul for me.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they were there in the cage with you in their Sunday best. Were mom and dad there as well?
Definitely. Mom, dad, my whole immediate family was here. Yeah, it was just, I think they weren't in the cage with me. They were, my teammates were kind of like just still in their seats and stuff, but it was just, yeah, I felt the love, put it that way. I felt the love from all areas.
I know that sounds like a corny question, but do you feel like that kind of family presence lifted you in a way?
For me, yes. For me personally, yes. But I don't think about it before the fight. I look forward to it after the fight, where I'm like, I can't wait till I see my mom in the cage. And I already knew I was gonna cry. I already knew I was gonna be in tears. I knew I was gonna present Eugene the belt. And for me, I just having them there really helps. Then I have to be, But even now, I saw before Melbourne, my brother was working like crazy fucking hours to save up for Melbourne. So now I just said, nah, fuck all that. All my family members, immediate family members, people I love, I'll fly them out to my fights. So I just fly them out. I'll put them up in the hotel, the same as the fighters. And yeah, because it's good to have them here supporting me, and it's good for them to see the world with me. This game has blessed me a lot, where I got to tour the world as a fighter for free. I just I pretty much just do vacations. I just whoop ass along the way. Like I'm about to come to New York now. Later on tonight. So, it's lit. It's very lit. So I'd like the people I love to enjoy and soak and enjoy the fruits with me.
You know what? Let's talk about Eugene for a moment. For folks who may not know, your coach is Eugene Behrman. I've known Eugene a little bit. He gives me interviews, but he's very reluctant because he knows I ask a lot of technique questions, and he hates that, which I can appreciate from him. But explain who he is to the folks who may not know. He doesn't, from the outside looking in from my very limited conversations, he seems at once a technical guru and also sort of like what? Like the father of the gym? What is he?
Yeah, Eugene Behrman, he and Doug Viney founded City Kickboxing, I think, in 2009, maybe, or 2008. And I came there in 2010. Eugene's pretty much the guy that took me under his wing and just saw like, okay, you're wild, you're crazy, but you have a lot of stuff you can work with. He never tried to make me fight like him or fight a certain way. He just, also he implores like people like Twister, who's the big guy in my corner, who's one of his old teammates. He implores him for his wisdom with the hands, with the boxing. And he gets people like Andre, who's my wrestling coach. So he gets people that are smarter than him to build us as a fighter, not just me, my teammates as well. And he himself, he's like the head coach because he's very good all around with all the areas. And yeah, like you say, he's like the father of the gym. He's like the leader of the gym. And for me, that moment, every time I watch the fight, I watched it twice now, but every time I watch that fight, I'm pretty sure when I see that moment, I'll always tear up because that moment for me was just that was beautiful. Like I couldn't wait to do that for him because I'm not always the best student, put it that way. I'm very stubborn. I listen. I get told off a lot. And but I think I've matured over the years. Ever since maybe the last year and a half, I've matured and I've been a better student than I was previously. I'm always late sometimes. Not always, just because traffic. Sometimes some things are out of your control. But for me, just everything he's done for me, and for believing in me, and for investing in me for all these years. He used to fly around the world with me and lose money because he's not taking clients, and it's like he just knew we can do this. And I always told him, like, we can do this, right? And he said, yeah, fuck, I'm not gonna kiss your ass, but and I knew. So for me to do that for him, it was just an honor and a privilege, and I was forever grateful.
Let's talk about some of the other aspects of this whole experience for you, not least of which is there were some skeptics coming out of the woodwork. Let's talk first about Paulo Costa. He seemed entirely unimpressed on Instagram.
What did he say?
Not a whole lot. I think I'm going to pull it up here. Paulo Costa has decided to laugh, apparently. His words are, I guess this is translated, so understand that it might be a bit lost here. Quote, "Really? This is the interim fake champ? Ha. No doubt this weight division has already been better than this."
Fake champ. Does he have a belt? He wishes he was the fake champ as well. Are you serious? Carry on.
Not a whole lot much more than that, other than he says, "Enjoy this while you can. I really hope that you take the real belt one day to meet me. Note, I'm not Gastelum." That's it.
First of all, didn't he get popped for something recently, for some acai in his stomach or something?
Stomach. He's not suspended by USADA as far as we know.
Okay, well, not yet. I just want to get him before USADA gets him. And eventually, if he climbs up the ranks like he thinks he will, eventually we'll see each other so he can find out. Gastelum's a tough guy. He got touched up by Uriah. You see his face after the Uriah fight? He got touched up. And these guys, they all, I mean, like you said, the ones that have a stake in this, they can be skeptics because they don't want to be impressed. But, hey, even Chris Weidman gave props. He was the one being like, oh, I think Gastelum before the fight. And I saw that after the fight. I never look at the predictions before the fight. But then he still gave props where it's due. A guy like that's just salty. He's just salty because I'm the one getting the shine. So they're trying to steal my shine. And I'm like, fuck no. Excuse me.
And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this because this was a bit of a dust-up. Jon Jones does not appear to be your best friend. He took to Twitter. Did you see all of those?
Mm. Yeah, so, I mean, he's a cunt. First of all, there's two variables I never expected in this game. And that was to fight Silva and then now to fight Jon Jones. So I have to adapt to that. And for me, I like a challenge. So he's a cunt, and I say that because he's picking the time when I'm supposed to get the most shine to come at me because he's irrelevant. No one really cares about him. I'm everything he wished he was. I'm everything he wished he would have been when he was beat. I want to thank God for, meanwhile he's in the bathroom at whatever time and then fucking hiding under a cage. And you can laugh, Luke. It's all right. But
I try to keep it professional.
But hiding under a cage to avoid USADA. I know some things. The streets is talking, and everyone knows, what's up behind the scenes. So I'm everything he wished he was. People don't have to like me, but it's hard not to like me. I mean, fuck, I just put on one of the best fights you've ever seen, and I'm a nice guy, But yeah, and I'm actually a nice guy. I'm sure to his team and his people, he's actually nice, but yeah, I don't know. The guy, put it this way. I've said it before, if you had to beat me, you got to do it yesterday. Because, Luke, you know this. Every single fight, I'm getting better. And there's only one reason he called me out. Because I know he's a man of challenges. He likes challenges. I'm no easy fight. But he knows if you want to get me right now will be the time while I'm only a year and some change in this game. Imagine what I'm going to be like in 2 years. Imagine at the rate that I'm fighting. I'm going to take a break now, you don't understand. But imagine how I'm going to be in 2 years. Imagine eventually when I go up. So he's trying to get this fight early so he has a better chance of beating me. But, hey, I'm player one and I have the controller. So that fight will happen, but it'll happen on my terms. If he wants to come down to 185, I mean, hey, fucking kill yourself and come down. But I wouldn't advise it. Eventually, either at a catch weight or something, I'll go up like the sound of two belts. But he knows I'm getting better each fight, every single fight. I mean, look at his fight with Anthony Smith. I expected him to finish Anthony Smith, so I wasn't really all impressed. But Anthony Split, I beat him hard up a line as well. Pretty tough guy. And yeah, he thinks just because I had a hard time with Gastelum, that means that he'll finish me or he'll have an easier time with me. All right, we'll see.
My only question about that would be is that you weighed in at 183. He can go up to heavyweight. He's a big guy. I've seen him. I mean, I've interacted with him in person. He's a big guy. Can you really make 205 in a way that's competitive?
I've beaten heavyweights before, and I didn't have to weigh heavyweight. I just like a challenge. I like a test. These are the things that these are the things that put you past that status of legendary. It makes you immortal, and that's what I want to do in this game. I want to be immortal forever, and they can be like, "Yo, he's the greatest." And I kept on saying, like, when I beat all these middleweights, look, Jacare, Yoel, Weidman, I think Cannonier as well. These are guys that are still in line. So chill, motherfucker Jones. Let me get through the middleweights first. Let me at least defend my belt a few times, and cement myself. Like the way I don't want to fucking go on a 16 fight or 12 title defense run. I don't need that. I just want to get through all the top middleweights at least once, and then I'll move up. So, but he's trying to jump the gun and just get me. He knows I'm a challenge. Even right now, if we fought, honestly, he'll have a better chance of beating me right now than a year or 2 years from now. And he knows that. He's a smart man. His coaches are smart. So I don't know if it's all on him or it's his peers or whatever trying to push him, like, get him now, you know, while he's still kind of green. And yeah, hey, I've been bullied my whole life, man, even in high school. And I didn't peak in high school. I've not even peaked yet. So when I peak, he's going to get this.
Let's end on a positive note here. I'm wondering in your mind what you think it's going to be like when you get over to Nigeria with the belt and see family. Like, oh, you turned on me there a little bit. What happened?
Hold up. My bad. Someone's calling me. I think it's Ariel's people. 2 seconds.
I'll be done with you in just a second. I promise.
All right. They keep calling me. Hold up. 2 seconds. Carry on. They keep calling me. Hold up. Mm-hmm.
Real quick. Nigeria with the belt. What do you think it's going to be like?
Oh, we're going. Beautiful. Like, there's a scene in the... Oh, fucking hell. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. You're good.
All right, cool. All right, so there's a scene in Ali where Will Smith is running through Africa, and all these kids are running after him. And that song, Salif Keita, Tomorrow is Playing, it feels like that. That's how I feel when I think about that moment. And I honestly, man, I get chills thinking about it. I get goosebumps thinking about it because it's time to take some gold back to Africa.
All right, man. Well, look, I know you're busy. I'll let you run. Really appreciate your time. Israel, this is the culmination of a lot of work. Enjoy your time off, and congratulations. You're the new interim middleweight champ. Thank you so much.
Mwah. See you.
There he is. One of the best. Really appreciate his time. All right. I need my coffee. I left it over there. Should I just get up and get it, or we got to get Joe to get it? Well, I don't know what the show producers think. I'm good to get it? All right. Let me just go get my coffee here. Oi. All right, there we go. Got to get that hipster coffee with the stevia in it. Delicioso. All right, what a performance from him. And as I mentioned before, man, look, I understand rivals, potential opponents, keeping a degree of skepticism about all of this, yeah? However, if you're not a rival and you're not somebody who has skin in the game in that particular way, watching what he's doing and then being like, there's holes in his game. Well, yeah, he's not the perfect fighter. I don't think he would even tell you that. But the steady development and the different ways in which he can attack, I think, give him a lot of opportunity for growth. All right, let's go to somebody else who's experiencing growth, moving up in a weight division, has a fight, got a lot of people saying his name. So I said, we got to get this guy on. There he is, Mr. Florida, California himself, Luke Rockhold. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
Are you in sunny Florida?
Warm.
Is he there? Can you hear me?
I'll be stuck here till the fight. So yeah, you got me?
Yeah, now I do.
Yep, stuck here doing work, just getting ready.
All right, man, let's get to it. Did you watch that press conference on, Friday? You were quite the name.
What I hear. I didn't watch the press conference. I was doing some things, tending to the body, and I got a text message from TMZ. Sent me the clip, and it's pretty funny. I didn't really realize I was still in his head that bad. So I don't know. Maybe the guy's just, he's like I said before, he's scared of the truth. I don't know what I did to exactly provoke all that, but I guess I just talked the truth too much. What can I say?
All right, let me sort of clear things up here. When you were mentioning him, like in a rivalry sense, right? Like, in other words, what I'm asking is, you don't have anything personal against him?
No, it's just me coming into the division, getting, I wanted to fight. He seemed like a logical opponent, and and then they shot him up, and Jon picked him off as an easy fight. So he basically made the UFC take it, and I just didn't think much of the matchup, and obviously I don't think the rest of the world thought much of the matchup once it happened.
All right, so why do you think he got so angry about it? I mean, I guess I understand. You were fair to say you were insulting.
Maybe just a little bit. Me, I'm not one to insult too much, am I?
You and Bisping have been pretty insulting.
Yeah, I got a problem telling the truth, so I don't think much of him. I don't think he's a credible character in the division, really.
All right, now we're going to talk about.
He's about to get shut down. He's about to get it from. He's going to get beat up bad, back to back, and be put in his place. Just like I said.
You think Gustafson's going to beat him?
Pretty easily. Sure.
Tell me why. Because honestly, here's the thing: didn't Anthony defy expectations in the Jon Jones fight in a number of capacities, shutting down the takedowns? Went a little long, obviously. Took some damage, but not a metric ton of it.
I guess so. I think it was a weird fight for Jon. I don't know. Maybe he's down to his last picogram. He just doesn't have it like he used to. I don't know. So I think he. I don't know. Jon didn't really fight a fight, so it's hard to say. It was a very awkward fight. I couldn't even pay attention. I was up. We had a box, and I literally didn't pay attention at all. It was so boring. I tried.
Did the UFC ever try to make a fight with you and Anthony Smith?
They didn't. No, we had some. There was a little juggling, trying to figure out who was going to go to Stockholm, and Anthony basically took the fight.
Now, you got this fight with Jan Blachowicz coming up. I'm going to make this question totally unfair, so I'm going to put that up in front of you as a disclaimer. If you win this fight against Jan, if and when, right, are you opposed in all forms to fighting Anthony?
It doesn't make a lot of sense after he gets his ass beat by Gustafsson. So I'm going to focus on what's ahead and what's in the moment. I'm going to go handle business. And, I'm going to look ahead. I never really look behind.
But I guess what I'm asking is, assuming you guys are ranked in similar positions and he gets past Gustafsson, you're not opposed to any contender is what I'm talking about.
If he gets past Gustafsson, if he defies expectations, that's a fight I will definitely entertain.
Well, I got to tell you, Luke, my namesake here, you're coming into this division red hot, man. You got a lot of people saying your name, got a lot of people pissed off. You got to be kind of happy about that, right?
I'm happy about not cutting weight. I'm happy about eating. I'm happy about, how it feels. I've never felt like this before, and it feels good. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to handle business, man. It's a different time.
You said never before, but well, Jose, you said never before, but there were times when you made 185, let's say way back in the early Strikeforce days. You could do that with, I'm not saying ease, but relative ease. Did you ever feel that good as you do now?
I felt better then, of course, making the weight, but it just got harder and harder, and it depleted myself more and more as the years went on. And man, I just wasn't recovering. I didn't have the strength. You can kind of see it as I go along. It's just that lack of, not recovering and getting back to the full strength. I'd say, like, even in training camp, I get down to a certain weight last few years, and it was just, I feel weak, depleted. When I had a little extra girth, I was doing a lot better. I could handle just about anybody at any weight. And so now actually lifting and eating right and not depriving myself, it's a different world. I'm excited to get in there and show the world.
How many more calories per day are you eating?
I've never been one to count calories. I just eat, and it feels right.
That's it?
I eat a whole lot. I eat healthy, man. I know my diet and I know my body, and I just listen to how what it wants, and eat to go to that. I don't really count at all. I've never been one to count. There's no sanity in counting.
So wait a second, though. You are not counting your calories even when you were at middleweight?
No, I don't count. I just judge portions and do what I do.
Wow. I have to tell you, I'm very surprised by that.
I don't know what to say.
All right, fair enough.
I know what I'm putting. I know what I'm putting in my body. I know my nutrition, and it's easy to operate and understand what works and what doesn't work. Puts you up, keeps you under.
How much more are you in the weight room? And I'm very curious, what kind of weight training regimen are you doing? Like Olympic lifts or bodybuilding style workouts? Like, what are you doing?
Doing a different type of weightlifting that I've ever really done. There's so much corrective work, and I'm with Mike Barwis and Barwis Methods, and the same thing. Obviously, you've seen what Robbie's doing. How Robbie's been looking lately. Robbie's the most crazy, diligent worker in the gym. I've never seen anything like it. The guy's in there 5 days a week, lifting 2 to 3 hours a day. So I do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and we go at it, man. It's just. And if you want to look into it, look into Barwis Methods, man. It's a different atmosphere and different type of training. There's so much corrective work and detail and warm ups and everything. It's different. It's different.
How'd you
get to see it?
How'd you get hooked up with him?
Greg Jones, my wrestling coach. Mike coached him through 3 national championships at West Virginia, and then he became the head strength coach for Michigan and so many others. So he came down here and opened up a big facility, and just really happened to collide, and everything's working out well at the right time.
So this is the guy that trained in Damakan Sue?
I believe so. Yeah, I think Damakan and so many people. It's a pretty fucking cool environment. I'm not gonna lie. You have people. He re-engineers the neurological side of people, like people with car accidents and people who have just lost mobility with their body or born with it without. He teaches them how to use their limbs and their body and get everything working again. And then you have the highest level of professional athletes. So we're all in the gym together and kind of feeding off each other. It's one of the coolest environments I've really been in, and it's inspiring and motivating. We feed off each other. These guys are just trying to walk, and we're doing our thing on a completely different level. So it's a badass place to be.
All right, let's assume you get the win, right? Winning maybe not necessarily so much in doubt. How about this, though? Do you feel like coming off of the last portion of your middleweight campaign that you have a message you have to send? That there's more than just winning and losing here. There's a method to that winning. There's a level to that winning that has to be established.
I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to go out there and do it. Obviously, I'm not happy with how I've, been about my career lately, and I've rethought things, and I'm coming, and this is the recipe. This is the answer: light heavyweight, and not compromising myself. And when I let it go, I let it go, and I've never met a man in the gym that can outdo me. So I'm just gonna go out there and let this thing happen, light heavyweight, and you guys are going to see. It's going to be fun.
How much different is it in terms of either worrying about or suffering from injury at 205 versus 185? When I say injury, obviously I'm not talking debilitating ones, but sort of nagging ones. I guess what I'm asking is, how much of your experience training now is injury versus previously at 185?
How much is injury coming to play now that I'm bigger now?
Yeah, well, I guess even nagging stuff like the small, twists of the ankle, soreness of the knees, anything. How much is it different at 205?
It's a hell of a lot better, I'll tell you that. Obviously the extra muscle, it kind of keeps everything intact, and a lot of those injuries happen at the end of training camp when I'm depleting myself and getting down to weight, and your body fat gets low. It's your body becomes brittle. So far less injury prone, and I'm looking forward to getting fucking slinging with weight and some muscle.
Let's talk about your opponent at Jan Blachowicz. UFC 239 is when this is going to happen. Size him up for me. When you evaluate him as an opponent, what do you see?
He's well-rounded. He's a tough guy. He's got a black belt. He's got decent wrestling when he wants, and he's got effective striking. I mean, he was out striking Gustafsson in their fight. So you got to expect a well-rounded guy, durable. Has been in there. So have I. So I know where he is, the big guy. I want to be faster than him. I'm going to beat him just about everywhere this fight goes. I'm going to go back to an old style that I implement, and that's just coming forward. Now that I have my strength back, there's going to be a lot of forward movement.
Let me ask you about that old style, because it was come forward before, but you have to admit your game is more polished now than it used to be. So when you say come forward, what do you mean exactly? I'm out there seeking to kill. That was always my mentality before, and I think I danced around and played too much. I think the latter years. So I'm going out there for the kill, and that's all I'm thinking right now. I'm going forward, and I'm executing, and I'm killing motherfuckers. Anybody's in front of me, that's the game plan. Let me ask you this. Jon Jones versus Thiago Santos is on that UFC 239 card. How do you think that one goes?
Jon usually finds a way. He adjusts and he plays a very safe game, and he'll find an opening. Thiago Santos he's not very good on the ground. He's not a very good wrestler. He can sling on the feet, but Jon usually gets in and gets through those and exposes, the situation. So we'll see.
So would you rather fight Jon first, or would you want DC to fight Jon at heavyweight first?
Of course, I'd rather fight Jon. I think if Jon wants to go to heavyweight, he can run up to heavyweight, but
Lost you there for a bit. Can you say that again?
I think DC's pretty set on fighting. I said the only reason I'm here is to fight Jon, so of course that's what I want. I want Jon first and foremost.
Okay, so how do you possess what you? Let me ask you this: you must believe that you have what it takes to beat Jon. What is it that everyone else has gotten wrong that you could get right?
Just about everything. Jon, I don't believe there's a man in the world that can compete with me on the ground. I don't believe Jon is that polished on the feet. I think he adjusts. I think he's tactical. I think I have the skills to beat him there. I have the skills to beat him on the ground. And I think the wrestling is pretty much nullified. I don't really think it plays much of a factor.
All right. How many fights do you think you have to get before you're worthy of a title shot at 205, which is a bit of a weird division right now?
I don't think it takes much. It takes a good performance.
One?
It's all about the performance of what you do and how you do it. So let's just wait and see and come check me out July 6th. I'm going to go put this man away.
Let me ask you this.
Then we can talk. Then we can talk about what's up.
All right, fair enough. Luke, how often do you get recognized for the polo ads?
I don't know. I don't know these days whether it's polo or fighting.
No one ever comes up to you and is like, oh, you're the dude from the polo ad?
It's more about the probably millionaire matchmaker dating.
You're still living down that infamy?
Hey, damn Bravo keeps posting me up there. Just butchered me up. So, no, it's, I've never been shy to partake in a few ventures. So, whatever, it works. I'm getting paid. I'm making money. Can't say that for the rest of these guys.
It is very true. Well, Luke, we wanted to check in. Enjoy sunny Florida. Looks like you got some boats behind you. You going to go boating later?
Not today. We're going to rest up. And do the training and handle business.
All right. Well, handle business. Get some rest. We're looking forward to your fight in July, and appreciate your time.
Cheers.
There he goes. Luke Rockhold. Man, people have it out for Jon Jones today. Jesus. I wasn't even trying to go there. All right. Let's do it now. Let's get to some tweets, shall we? Y'all ready in the back? Let's do a round of tweets. All right. When the clock this side. When the 5 minute goes up, let's see. We're waiting here as I awkwardly point. Yeah, when that starts and then the tweets go. There it is. Here we go. I am so excited for Monday's show. Can't wait. Thank you for being the only reason why Mondays don't suck. Thank you, Luke and Dana Segura TV, and the rest of your hardworking crew. I can't wait to hear your analysis. Well, here it goes. Next. What do you think happens with Holloway's stock after this incredible fight, showcasing an amazing chin and heart, but still coming up short? Is it going up, down, or staying the same? I would say it stays the same. It doesn't drop a whole lot for me. It dropped relative to expectations because I think some folks thought, even I thought, he would give Dustin a lot more problems. And to be sure, the volume did give Dustin problems at times. Dustin said as much in the third and fourth round. But what really sort of occurred to me was for your first jump up from one weight class to the other, even though it's 10 pounds apart, we're so used to seeing people jump up a weight class and it's no thing, like they're just smoking champions. But the reality is, man, there can be a big jump between bantam and feather and light. In boxing, you see this all the time. Guys will jump 7 pounds and there will be like, how does their punching power compare? It's tough. To me, he needs to strategically and then gradually kind of add difficult opposition, because I think he has to work on not punching power, but like what Luke Rockhold is doing, overall strength development. That takes time. You can't do that overnight. Next. True or false? Dustin Poirier was the worst matchup for Holloway's debut at 155. Worst matchup? No. I could think of potentially a worse matchup. Maybe if Khabib got all the takedowns he wanted and just wore him out and the rounds weren't even close, that would be worse. But fair to say that Dustin Poirier is a real tough matchup for anybody who wants to get some. Yeah, dude, Dustin Poirier is a nightmare. We've been talking about Israel and Kelvin, and haven't talked much about Max and Dustin so far on the show today. But suffice to say, man, Dustin Poirier showed up. Wow, really worked on his boxing. And again, not using all the same trickery necessarily that some guys like Holloway use. Using a little bit more conventional stuff, but just having real precise, sharpened, skilled fundamentals and obviously big power. Put the two together. It's a tough competition, man. Next. Is Tiger the greatest athlete if our generation? Well, I know who the greatest speller of our generation isn't. But yeah, if you guys didn't see the Masters yesterday, 11 years apart from one either major to the next or one Masters to the next. But I was in high school when Tiger Woods won his first Masters. And then to go through all the porno scandal, 7 surgeries, I think 4 knee, 3 back, or either 3 knee, 4 back, to have the opioid addiction, to his wife trying to hit him with a car, to being the DUI, and then to come all the way back and win in the way he did. Extremely impressive. Next. After watching Joe Band's fight, do you think Octagon Control should hold more weight when choosing a winner? Dwight appeared to be on his back foot and unwilling to engage for most of the fight. Should the UFC be rewarding that fighting style? The problem was you have it backwards. Joe Band lost the fight because he didn't have Octagon Control. He was chasing. Go back and look at my tweets. I was talking about it in real time during the broadcast. If someone is in front of you, you have to kind of corral them. Not always. You saw Anthony Pettis follow, but he followed on purpose rather than cage cut. But the majority of the time you want a cage cut. When you don't do that and you can't corral them, problems emerge. Dwight was backing up because he refused to be trapped. So it's a wash. No one had octagon control there at all. So then it comes down, well, it starts at damage and then goes to things like octagon control. But no, I think it's properly weighted, but Joban didn't have it. That's exactly the problem. Next. With TJ officially being suspended and basically admitting to conscious wrongdoing, isn't it all odd we keep seeing his Toyo Tire commercial? No, because I guess the UFC has inventory that they have to post, and they haven't redone it yet. Shouts to Toyo Tire, by the way, taking care of your boy. 4 new sets of tires. Well, 1 new set of tires, 4 new tires. Right in time for the baby to be here. I appreciate it. And I have not done EPO. How the hell do people with poor internet connections buy the pay-per-view now? If you have to go through the internet, didn't they reduce the buys immensely? I used to live in a rural area. It was impossible to watch anything on the internet, but I could use Dish and watch pay-per-views. I guess you have to go to a local watering hole, if possible, but the answer is, I think the UFC made a calculation. We probably can cluster around large or medium-sized metropolitan areas and get enough buys that way. We don't really need to worry about, I mean, think about it. It sounds kind of awful, but how many buys are you losing by not catering to people who don't have good internet in potentially rural areas? I suspect as a portion of your pay-per-view buying audience, not many. And so you end up there. I lost track of time. Appreciate all the tweets. I wish we had more time for them, but we don't. Let's do this now. Let's go to my friend in the back. He is, what? What is he? He is many things to me. I don't know if he saw this, but I was watching Jeopardy. I think I was on Friday. Danny Segura, did you see Jeopardy on Friday with Alex Trebek?
I don't have cable, man.
You don't have cable?
No.
Well, they had Columbia. They had Columbia as a category.
Yeah.
Dude, the questions were so easy.
What were some of the questions?
Like, for example, let's see. So there was obviously, there's 5 questions, easiest to hardest.
Yeah.
Easiest was Tekindama?
Yeah.
The waterfall, which I've been there, by the way. It's the filthiest thing in the world.
It's disgusting.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But it was saying it comes from a river that shares its name with the capital of the country, Bogota. Sofia Vergara, they showed a picture of her basically asking, who is she?
Mm-hmm.
Then they showed a picture of Gabriel Garcia Marquez asking, who is he? They even mentioned 100 Years of Solitude.
Great book.
Amazing. One of the best books of the 20th century.
Very hard to read.
Very
hard.
Yeah, and I wonder if the English translation I got was any good, but
I haven't read the English one, but in Spanish is like
tough.
There's words that are just ancient.
Yeah.
Just because Spanish is a real old language, and you just have to go back and read it again.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Then they were like, what country borders Colombia if you're looking at a map on the right side, Venezuela, obviously. And then the last one, it was hilarious. They were talking about, they're like, this walled city on the coast, blah, 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 blah. And they showed a picture of Cartagena.
Yeah.
And, I've been there a million times. I went there for vacation last year. They showed the bar. Have you been to Cartagena recently?
No.
So there's this bar, Cafe Del Mar, which sits right on top of the walls, right next to the ocean.
I've heard about it.
Bro, I got hammered up there big time, 2 or 3 times. No.
Colombia?
No, I had, what was I having up there? I forget. I bought a bottle of something. But they showed Cafe Del Mar. And I was like, how could I not know this? Your boy's gotten hammered there. So I got him. It was easy. I ran the table.
Yeah.
All right. Neither here nor there. How are the calls, my friend?
The calls are good, man. Very good.
We finally have a chance to do a sound off where we can breathe a little bit, where we're not
Yes.
racing through everything.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. We got tons of calls, and I got to get some of the calls that were evergreen leftover from last episode.
Perfect.
So we might have time to touch those.
All right. Well, you go first, my friend. Hit us.
All right.
Hit us up with the
Let's
questions.
talk about the scoring of the main event of UFC 236. Khabib Nurmagomedov had an interesting take on that event, and the caller had a question about that. So let's address it.
Hey, guys. This is Ryan from L.A. Wow, that Holloway-Poirier fight was awesome. Khabib said he scored the fight a draw. I thought it was pretty clear that Poirier had it at least 3-2 rounds. Do you guys think that it was a draw or that it was close? Or do you think Khabib is still trying to keep the possibility of having a super fight with Max Holloway? All right, thank you, guys. Keep up your good work. I always look forward to your show on Mondays.
Okay.
How'd you score it, first of all? Draw?
No. I think I had Poirier winning pretty easily. I didn't do so I was scoring the round by round on Gastelum, and Adesanya, but after that experience, I was kind of not checked out, but I was a little like, eh. So I wasn't scoring it, but it just appeared to me when the fight was over that I think you could probably give a round, maybe 2 to Holloway, but I think you could. It's probably 3 rounds to 2 just on that level, and there might be some 10-8s in there.
Yes,
because here's the difference. I actually went and looked at the striking totals today on the train ride up. Max outstruck him in a couple of rounds numerically.
Yeah,
but the quality of the punches,
it wasn't the same.
So I was saying this, dude. Max was like pop, 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 and they're landing, man. Like he can overwhelm you like that. Poirier admitted it.
Yeah,
but when Poirier would land,
Poirier had the RPG. Like he was.
Dude, he was. You know, I'm being dead serious. He was moving,
hard,
Max.
Dude, yeah.
Max looked like he was in a car crash. His body would flail from the power.
Yeah.
Max just couldn't compete with that. He could do a lot of other things to compete with, not that.
Yeah. I had it 49-46 Poirier, and I think I scored I'm pretty sure I scored a 1 round 10-8. I think it might have been like the second. There was a 1 round where he was really touched up and like he buckled a few times. But he didn't get knocked down. But
dude,
yeah,
can we say this real quickly?
Yeah, go for it.
Unreal toughness for Max Holloway.
Dude, there was mad toughness in that whole card.
Dude, we was thinking about it, man. That main and co-main, I haven't seen. You want to talk about 2 guys? Here's the thing: no one's being like, okay, but they're not the real champ,
right?
Because you're like, all right, well, maybe Khabib's the real champ, and maybe Whitaker's the real champ for whatever that's worth. But those 2 guys, whatever they got out of that, they earned. Yeah. They earned that.
Yeah.
Real quickly, let me pull up these numbers here. This is from Fight Metric. And again, numerical totals, Danny, not absolute totals. Numerical totals, Max Holloway got barely outstruck. No, that's not quite true. A little bit outstruck in the first round. Same in the second. Outstruck him in the third. Outstruck him in the fourth. And then got outstruck in the fifth. So you could maybe give third and fourth maybe to Holloway. And again, that's not quality of punches. But even the rounds where it's close.
I think third was definitely Holloway's strongest. In fact, when it hit at the end of the third, like there was I remember I tweeted something like, okay, yeah, Poirier is up clearly, but there's also a clear momentum shift. Like Max Holloway started, really putting it on Poirier, and you saw Poirier start wrestling a little more, which can be a bad sign. Not always, but it certainly, he didn't want a whole lot to do with the striking, so he started, engaging in the grappling.
Here's a question you should keep in mind. I've watched a lot of tape on Max, and I've watched a lot of tape on not Dustin actually, but Max. He heats up over fights. Remember we went over that with the Hagler comparisons? Now here's where he's not like Hagler. The power was just not the same up a weight class, but in his native weight class, it's pretty good. Here's my point. Remember I told you how he heats up round over round over round over round over round? So here we go. Max Holloway landed 30 in the first, 32 in the second, 53 in the third. So now you're like, okay, here we go. Here's the problem. 42 in the fourth, 24 in the fifth. It looked to me like he peaked in the third and then dropped off. And it looks to me like that third and fourth round, that is the Max Holloway sweet spot. Not saying he can't heat up to the fifth, but there might be reason to believe that's where he really does his best work. And if you can survive that, you might have a chance at a rebound.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Habib, interesting scorecard there, but, nonetheless, I think he was actually giving his thoughts. I don't think he was trying to, as this caller suggested, kind of leave it open for a super fight with Max Holloway. I don't think that was the case. All right. Let's address what would happen if, I'll just play the call.
Hey, Luke and Danny, it's Darren calling from Canada. Watching this fight Saturday night, as close as they were, it really got me thinking, what happens in an interim title fight if there's a draw? With the co-main and main being as close as they were, a draw occurring seemed really plausible. I'm assuming that no belt would be awarded, and would that mean that there would likely be a rematch?
So we can address other questions. But I didn't think about that. What happens if, because the fights did go to decision, right? I think I think there were clear winners in my books, but I know some people had, some interesting scorecards. What happens if it ends in a draw? Like, it's not a defending champion.
No, there's no belt awarded. That's it.
That would literally be like the worst case scenario.
That'd be terrible.
For the UFC.
That's the risk you run doing these kinds of things, man. Yeah. So, look, it's the risk you run with technically any bout. But, you would
at least if you have the title on the line, like, you still have a champion at the end.
Oh, right, because no one took it from the other one. That's exactly. Right.
So you just do another interim title.
You have to do another one, that's it. That would be exactly what you got.
Oh, man, that'd be the
Now, imagine, here was the worst. No, that's not the worst case scenario, because imagine you got to the end, you're like, I don't know, man, it's pretty close. Imagine if it wasn't close. Like it was pretty clear somebody won.
Yeah.
And then the judges foobarred it. Then you'd be like, oh, my God. You'd be like, what is happening?
No bueno.
Right.
That'd be bad. All right. Well, let's talk about what happens now at lightweight. This brought some resolution to the lightweight division a little bit, I guess. So let's discuss that.
Hey, it's Michael Chastain from Athens, Georgia. Went to the fights last night. Still can't wrap my head around what happened. I'm still coming down from it. But Poirier won the interim belt. Dana says that he's going to fight next against Khabib. There's so many other options. MMA fans love the Tony Khabib matchup. Conor, too, could make more money than the first one. Gaethje's right there. If you were Dana White, how would you set up the next half of this year to kind of lay out the top 5 and thin things out and straighten it out better? Thanks for taking my question. Love your show.
By the way, you ever been to Athens, Georgia?
No, I have not.
2 best cities in Georgia. The 3 best. Yeah. 1, wherever Jed Meshew is not. 2, Athens. 3, Savannah. Those are your 3 best cities. Athens is amazing. It's an amazing.
I gotta go.
All right, this is more your kind of thing. You love to strategize and plan.
I hear you.
So let's see what you got. What do you think?
All right. Well, the thing is, the whole division is a mess. So whatever route you go, you're gonna end up, by default, you're gonna have to screw somebody over. So I just want to state that out. There's no getting around to that. So I think, Tony Ferguson probably has the best resume as far as a body of work. I mean, the dude's been deserving of a title shot for like years now. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Poirier just kind of recently came into that picture. However, I do think the fact that, he's the active fighter and he just won the belt, I think that puts him ahead. And also, we don't really know where Tony Ferguson's mind is at the moment. Like, we had some issues, last month, at home. So I kind of don't want to put somebody in the cage, if you're going through issues like that. So I say you do, Khabib and Poirier as soon as possible.
By the way,
looks like September.
Great fight.
Amazing fight. So I say you do that fight, and I think Tony Ferguson, I don't want to see him in another fight. I know I wouldn't mind if he gets another fight because I understand, like, this is his job. He does need to make money. But in a perfect world, dude, sit out, let your body rest, relax, take care of whatever you need to take care of home, and you just get the winner of Poirier Khabib, possibly later this year or early next. But if he does want to fight, I don't think Conor McGregor will fight him. So I think probably the next best thing after that, it would probably be a fight with Nate Diaz, as far as like what it does to his brand.
Yeah. Got to get Nate Diaz back in the mix, man.
Yeah, you got to get Nate Diaz back in the mix.
Jeez, you're so right. I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah. I'm such a Nate Diaz fan. I completely forgot because he's just been kind of on ice a little bit. Oh, you're so right. That would be so much better. That would be so much better. Wow, good call. Put
that in California.
Yeah, exactly. Or Vegas, whatever. His people will travel for that.
A free tip there for the UFC.
There you go. Danny Segura, matchmaker at large.
And look, some people suggested Justin Gaethje because he's starting a title campaign, right?
Can't forget about him.
You can't forget about him, but man, I just feel like putting Tony Ferguson in that situation, because no matter how the fight goes, if you're in a fight with Justin Gaethje, you're going to get some damage.
How about this? How about Gaethje versus the winner of Iaquinta and Cowboy?
Yeah, I'm about that too. Yeah, Iaquinta, Gaethje, sign me up,
bro.
Yeah,
that would be tremendo. Yeah, tremendo.
But I would like to get, and also, Conor's been claiming for a rematch, bruh. Nah, I don't want to see that.
I have no interest.
Competitive wise, like competition wise, it doesn't interest me. I don't think his performance granted a rematch.
And also getting it by being awful about someone's religion or married ones. It's like, if we're going to reward rematches based off of that, I might just check out from this business. It's
I also
gross.
I'm not down to see that build up. Like, people are like, it's BS, you tune in. Obviously, it's my job, but like, man, it just got ugly, man. I just
wasn't it. I mean, look, rivalries sell, and they're good for the sport.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, not generally, but for one night, we got Adesanya and Gastelum. Had a little bit of back and forth, but not much. But then you had Poirier and you had Holloway, and again, I'm not telling you can rely on that level of sales to boost your business. But what I am saying is, wasn't it a nice respite from your mom is this and your, whatever? It was so refreshing, man. And they all still got after it.
Yeah, they're fantastic fights. And look, I have no problem with trash talk and stuff as long as it's like, for example, the Jon Jones DC rivalry. I love it, but it was more towards the individual. They were going after each other, not beyond that, religion, etc. So, yeah, man, I just don't want to see it. So I'd love to see Conor McGregor back. Don't get me wrong, but maybe a Pettis fight. I don't know, against any lightweight. I think it'd be fun to watch.
Sure.
Except Habib. I don't think he should be fighting for a title.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're talking about Conor McGregor, so let's keep that going. Wait, before I play this, do you have any suggestions on how you would play out the rest of the year?
No, I don't do those kinds of things.
Yeah.
People are again. This is why I don't. I mean, I've been in this business a long time. If I really wanted to break fight news, that was a thing I would have developed. But I don't. It's not that I don't care. That's not the right word. I just don't find it that interesting.
Yeah.
So no, your prescription, I sign off on it. All good.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's move on.
This is Aubrey from Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia.
Hey, so in light of the fight on Saturday night between Poirier and Holloway, Dana White has said that the next fight to make is Khabib versus Poirier. I'm just really curious to know if you're willing to play odds makers. What are the odds that in between now and September, Poirier gets screwed over, stripped of the interim belt, and Conor McGregor fights Khabib Nurmagomedov in a rematch? I'm really curious to know your thoughts on that. How likely is that to happen? Thanks for taking the call.
Right. So great call. This is a topic we went back and forth on in the MMA beat.
Yeah.
So to your point, if past is prologue, it seems unlikely. But I have to tell you, Adesanya Whitaker seems like I can't imagine they would put anything in front of that.
No.
What would be better?
It's the fight that is healthy for the division.
Yeah.
It's the fight that's the biggest fight to make at 185.
Yeah. And that region.
And that region, yeah.
But with Conor McGregor, the most popular fighter in the sport, it's a bit of a wild card.
Yeah, it is.
Danny, what do you think? Again, if past is prologue, like we've talked about, should be fine. I have to tell you, though, part of me does wonder if McGregor comes back and really begins to twist some arms, what might happen.
I think there's a chance. I think there's a possibility, but I would throw. I'm not very good with odds, but I would still throw it in the plus. I think it's less likely to happen. One, because the UFC signed with ESPN, their pay-per-view partner now. So apparently they're getting a pretty healthy amount per pay-per-view. So they don't have as big of an incentive now as to sell, right? Because any pay-per-view that they put on, they're gonna get some money for it. So the idea of, we gotta, break 1 million, we gotta put on the biggest fights possible. I don't think they have that much pressure now with this new deal. So that's one. Two, I really do think, although a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the UFC loves this, like, it's messed up, all the trash talk and whatever, but the UFC loves it. I do think, part of me really do think that the UFC is getting kind of tired of it, and the UFC understands that it is crossing some boundaries they don't want to get into. So I think with McGregor, it's possible, man. It's possible, but I think it's more unlikely than it is to happen.
I think it's unlikely. Yeah. As it stands, unlikely. To your point, they have immunized themselves from fighter pressure.
Yeah.
I do wonder, though.
Yeah.
Part of me, because again, if it was anybody but Conor McGregor, I'd be like, forget it. But now I'm like,
Conor McGregor, he's his own thing.
He's powerful.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right, well, let's talk about the co-main event, which kind of, I'm not throwing any shade to the main event, guys, but the co-main event just felt, super
big,
special.
dude.
It felt big, man. It felt big.
That was some heroic shit from Israel Adesanya, bro. And Kelvin, dude, I have
not to take anything away from the main event, because that main event was fantastic as well.
Were you, Jose, before you play this question, were you with me a little bit? Like, I had real respect for Kelvin Gastelum, but you heard Israel Adesanya say it. He was surprised at how hard he was to hit. I showed you him slipping all those punches, getting into range. Dude, that was impressive. People look at slipping like it's not a big deal. That is, your timing has to be perfect.
Yeah.
I walked away being like, dude, Kelvin Gastelum's going to give people problems for years.
Yeah, I thought Kelvin was going to wrestle him a lot, and the fact that he was outstriking him in the first couple of rounds, he was having a lot of success rocking him. I was like, oh snap! And he's got the range disparity, dude. Kelvin Gastelum is a real threat. It's a real threat to anybody.
He should hold his head high.
Yeah,
I think
this fight brought his stock up.
It better. Yeah, it better. In the end, you were facing a really special guy, but Kelvin's special too, man. That guy is good. All right, go ahead.
For sure. All right, let's do this.
Hey, Luke. Walter from New Jersey. Just a quick question about Israel Adesanya and Gastelum. You have that fight, which is most likely going to be the fight of the year. And then if you turn back the clock to Ortega and Holloway. How were those two fights similar, and how are they different, and which one gets the nod for fight of the year? Thanks for all of your time and everything you guys do. Thanks.
Well, okay.
Well, first of all, the Ortega-Holloway fight was December of 2018.
All right, but let's say he's counting it the end of year kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Kelvin and Adesanya and Israel was more competitive.
Yes.
Right, because it was uncertainty headed into the fifth.
Yep.
That fifth round drama by Adesanya answering the call, bro. I got chills after I was watching this, and then Gastelum doing his best to hang in there. Even everyone's like, why didn't Mark Goddard stop it? I wouldn't have complained had he at certain points.
Yes.
But you heard DC talking about it. Kelvin was still wrestling to the final bell.
Yeah.
Dude, I was so impressed with him.
Also, you got to keep in mind that Kelvin rocked them several times throughout that fight. If that didn't happen, then you go, okay, you might want to stop this because Kelvin hasn't shown the ability to, be hurt and then maybe come back with something. Nah, Kelvin was in there, man. Kelvin was a threat the entire time.
Here's the difference. We actually had Henner Gracie on the show prior to the Ortega fight, and Henner said something that I thought was true. Ortega is still putting his game together, and obviously his ground game is phenomenal. But even in that case, it's a little bit true. He likes to thrive in the middle of other people making errors, a little bit of scrambles, a little bit of chaos on the feet. He really does a lot of good work from there because he takes chances. And sometimes he blows through guys like he did against Frankie Edgar, and sometimes he has to work at it a little bit and then make a move at the end like he did against Renato Moicano. Holloway is the opposite. Holloway isn't merely a better striker, but he is much more strategic and patterned and tactical in his approach, where everything is very much, when he's doing well, under control. You had, in the case of Adesanya and Gastelum, two people who are under control, who are trying to apply that control to the other one. That is not what you saw in Ortega and Holloway. What you saw was that steady control by Holloway over time break him down and then open the floodgates. And at that point, he just sort of ran over him. Very different fights in that regard.
Yeah, and I think also for me, the fights that I like the most are fights that have storylines in it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about leading up to it, the fight itself having a storyline. I think at some point during that Ortega fight, we knew who the winner was going to be. Like, it was don't get me wrong, Ortega was in there firing, trying his best and making it very exciting. But at one point, it was a one-sided beating, right? Like, it was like, okay, man, Max Holloway is really on his way to victory here. While the Gastelum Adesanya fight, it was a gamble almost the entire time, until the fifth. The fifth got pretty one-sided there towards the end, but the fight was extremely competitive. And I would say it's a fight of the year so far. Would you agree?
Yeah, that one was special, man. You don't see a whole lot of those very often. And I made this point before. All four guys in your main and co-main, elite, literally title contenders in their 20s.
Yeah.
Dude, that is the sweet spot. Everyone's like, oh, I'm 34. I'm in my prime. Motherfucker, you are not in your prime. You are not in your prime. And we see this all the time in MMA. I'm 35. I feel the best I've ever felt.
Best training camp I've ever
You're
had.
just lying to yourself. It's not possible. Your testosterone's been going down naturally year over year. No, not the case. But these guys, they're all in that perfect stage of development and clarity and skill.
Yeah. All right. Amazing fight.
I watched it again on the train, and I was like, geez, man.
Getting pumped?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good fight to watch if you want some energy, man.
Bro, why does no one hit me up all day until I get on the air? My wife just hit me up. What is happening here? All right.
Is everything good?
Yeah. No, she's not. If the baby was here, I would just drop the headphones and go.
Okay.
No, baby's not here. Just, people just harassing me.
All right, let's keep talking about Adesanya. This listener brought an interesting question.
Hey, Luke and Danny. My name's Hayden. I'm calling from Phoenix, Arizona.
Right.
I have a question about Israel Adesanya. So I've been on this hype train since his UFC debut. And like Luke has said many times, it's more exciting to be a fan on the come-up than it is once they're finally the champion. And honestly, during the first 4 rounds of the Kelvin Gastelum fight, I was kind of doubting myself, like, wow, I don't think he's as good as I thought he was. And then that 5th round happened, and I think he showed something to everybody that he is a truly phenomenal fighter. So my question to you, Luke, is what's his upside? Do you think he could be one of these like GSP, even Anderson Silva type guys that just goes on a run and destroys everybody? Or do you think he's going to have troubles? Let me know.
Okay, well, always remember everybody has troubles. Even the great St. Pierre had troubles. Even Fedor has had troubles.
Anderson Silva.
The only guy who hasn't really had troubles was Jon Jones. I'm talking about in the cage. Now, the Hamill thing, whatever you want to say about that, Gustafsson gave him trouble, but not enough to really cross the finish line there. And so we saw what happened in the rematch. But he got pushed. Here's the deal in MMA. So far, Izzy was pushed, but I mean, when I say pushed, I mean like losing the majority of the bout, and you got to pull out a Hail Mary, which is kind of what he did a little bit, Jon Jones. In the first Gustafsson fight, obviously he just crushed him in the second. Somebody is going to put it on Israel Adesanya. I mean, put it on him. Someone is going to. And how he answers that will tell you his upside. We don't really know yet. Now, obviously, if you have a belt around your shoulder, you're pretty dang good. Israel Adesanya is pretty dang good. Is he George St. Pierre good? Time will tell. I would read into it what I saw in this fight. Gastelum is just, I think, a lot better than folks realize. He was certainly better than I thought, and I thought he was good. He is very good. But as everyone noted, he was able to make Adesanya 4th and 5th round adjustments. Danny, that's what won him the fight. Let's see what happens against a Romero. Let's see what happens against Acosta or somebody else. Let's see how he looks against some of these Weidman. That will give us a broader picture to make a big judgment. But is he obviously talented? Is he going to be a force to be reckoned with for years to come? That, at a bare minimum, we can say.
And, you mentioned like getting different looks, right? Getting the Jacker, getting the gas,
right?
The Weidman, like that's super important. But that's usually once you're at the top. Let's see what he does against Robert Whittaker, and if he does get past him, that's when that's when his legend work begins, right? When guys are looking at you, and the guys that are coming up are aiming at you rather than the other way around. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. But man, there was. And even in this interview that you had today, like he was like, "Wait till you see my takedowns. Wait till you see my submissions." Like,
were you not surprised with that guillotine and that triangle?
Yeah, for sure, dude. The guy's getting so much better.
I thought he was. I thought for sure he was going to get past his guard. Understand how that triangle happened. He had to maintain guard retention. There was a guard retention act in there. The way you pass, because that's my favorite pass as a big guy, is when I drive my shoulder and I do what the old Renzo Gracie bit is. You ever heard this? If you want to pass that way, Renzo Gracie goes, make the guy smell his knee. So I drive all my weight so that their knee goes right to their face. I like to plant it on their face, and then I begin to turn the angle and I while maintaining pressure, and he couldn't. Adesanya kept just enough space and then just the right angle to stay in front, and then he could relaunch. Because remember, he had to apply the triangle twice. Dude, there was a lot happening there. I was like, I thought he had him in the triangle.
After he took how many punches? Like, dude, super impressive.
Very.
Super. Dude, a year ago, he beat Marvin Vettori. Like, that's a completely different fighter, just 1 year. And let's keep in mind, he's been busy, and he mentioned in your interview, like, yo, I've just been like kind of worrying about the fights and like getting ready for fights. Now that he's gonna take some time off to actually improve his skill. That's quite scary.
And Vettori held him down. Kelvin Gastelum could not hold him down. Kelvin Gastelum's a much better wrestler than Marvin Vettori.
All right, let's talk about another. I mean, these two fights were amazing, but there was a few other guys in that card that had super impressive performances. So I thought they were worth mentioning.
Okay,
so let's talk about another fighter.
This is Parker from Virginia Beach. I just wanted to know your thoughts on Khalil Roundtree's performance. I personally thought that his striking looked tenfold better, and that he overall performed the best I've ever seen him. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on it. Big fan of the show, and keep doing what you're doing.
All right, first of all, step up your audio quality.
Yeah, was he calling from Virginia Beach or Saturn?
I
couldn't tell. The moon, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe. Nonetheless, a good question.
So
Khalil Roundtree, man.
Okay, here's the difference with Khalil Roundtree. Yes, he's gotten better, but people I don't think are assessing this the right way. Yes, Khalil Roundtree got a lot better. I grant you. But it's not really, did he like majorly change his skills? I don't see that as the defining reason why he won that. I want you to flash back 6 years ago. What was the knock on Dustin Poirier at the time? There was two of them. One was that he had bad cardio. If you don't believe me, Google it. It was out there.
Mm-hmm.
One was that people said he had bad cardio, and two was that he was a brawler.
Yep.
What was the difference in his fight with Max Holloway? Yes, he's gotten a lot better. But the difference is he didn't brawl with Max, not very much anyway.
He's a little more responsible with his skill set.
Absolutely. That is it. That is it. That was exactly the right word, Danny. Khalil Roundtree has always been a talented striker. And yes, he got better. No doubt about it. But that was a dedicated, disciplined, in your words, responsible management of the fight. Khalil's always been talented, but he's putting it together in terms of an in-fight application of it.
Yep.
That's the result. This is the guy we saw at LFA tearing people's heads off.
Yep.
I am so happy to see the result that we saw. Not that I have anything against Eric Anders, but it is nice to see a guy fulfill his potential.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also something that's not being talked about enough is it's his cardio. Like you said, like, sure, it's his management and skills. Like, he's always been good, but also, like, once he was in there, like, we've seen him in fights where, like, you know, he's completely gassed out. Now I feel like, I don't know if it's exactly that attributes to being responsible with his cardio, but, like, dude, he was just, because he was having a steady output throughout the entire time. And I think that's key. I don't know what changes in Thailand he made that attribute to that, but yes, some of it is responsibility, but a lot of it is just, I don't know, maybe clean up technique as well. But like, dude, the fact that like he can strike for a long period of time, like 15 minutes, bro.
He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. If he keeps that up, because his problem was he would always just go there and just, not wildly, but not in terms of managing resources and using the most of his, he wasn't using the most of his ability against Johnny Walker or, you know, whoever else. This time he was applying himself.
Yeah.
And you can see what a revelation that is. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, he's really found something in Thailand, and you know, hopefully it keeps improving.
It may have just been himself. Fantastic. I mean, yes, skills, but like it may have just been.
We saw the.
We did, but you know, remember the Thais when they do Thai boxing? If you never watched, you ever like watched Thai boxing, like actual Thai boxing?
Yeah.
They start slow, and they heat up. That's exactly what you need to slow Roundtree down, because he comes out, he comes out like. You ever see Mad Max Fury Road? The dudes who are spray painting their mouths, you know. Yeah. He comes out like that. He's like, I can't wait to see Valhalla. He's spray painting his mouth, just going berserk. And if he could just be a little more reserved, take a different attitude, look at what he can produce. Amazing.
Yeah. Dude, light heavyweight's picking up, man.
Slowly but surely, these guys are putting it together, for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Kelvin a little bit.
Hey, it's Josh calling from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Just curious to know what you think about Kelvin's performance and what kind of adjustments he could make in the future if he would possibly have a chance to beat Adesanya with given adjustments, or do you think Adesanya just is too much for him and too quick to adapt? Thanks for the call, guys. Take care.
I'm not a coach, so I'm utterly ill-equipped, I should say, to be overly, diagnosing problems. I will say one thing that stuck out to me, Danny.
Yeah.
He would have Adesanya hurt and then go for the takedown.
Yeah.
That was a backbreaker, man. I wonder if the fight would have been different had he not done that. Now, maybe he was hurt, maybe he was tired, and I don't know what the answer is, but I was just watching it in real time. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You have him hurt, man. Polish him off.
Yeah, there was a time where, like, Izzy, like, fell back against the cage, and he immediately, like, shot and just kind of pressed him when, Adesanya was clearly hurt.
Yeah.
But, with that being said, I think it's also not a fair assessment, because we've seen him with, like, a great killer instinct in other fights, like, say, like, the Tim Kennedy fight, or, like, other fights where, like, he knows he's got somebody hurt, and then he starts putting it on them. You can't always be perfect, you know what I'm saying? But something I would like to see him do a little more is wrestle. I think he's got great wrestling. He's displayed that before in his previous fights. And, I think if he mixes it up a little more, I think, it'll open up his striking. Again, I'm not a coach as well, but...
One other thing. Remember how he landed the head kick in the third or the fourth?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Okay, but the reason why he landed it because he hadn't thrown it all the entire round, and it just completely fooled a guy like Adesanya, which, by the way, hard to fool a guy like Adesanya.
Yeah. I mean, Silva tried to fool him how many times and get nothing.
So this is my point about Gastelum. Was like, God damn, that is really good. This is going to sound like a general ignorant statement, but I do wonder, Danny, if slightly upticking the amount of kicks he throws merely as a disguise. You don't have to I have to land this kick. It has to be the kick upon which I win this fight. But just as a general mix, might open up the hands more, might do some more, just adding, because here's the thing. I'm looking at the things he did well. I don't know how to add much to it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he put on a really good performance.
So you got to add other things that he's not doing and then wonder, to your point, I'm saying kicks, you're saying wrestling. He can do them already. Maybe just sharpen them up, add them a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Let's discuss. This was a bit of a hot topic. I'm not really about it, but let's discuss it anyway.
All right, I thought it'd be interesting.
Hey, guys. It's Ricardo from Toronto. I just got back from the fight. I have a two-part question, so hopefully you can answer them. First of all, wow, Israel had an amazing, inspirational win tonight. He showed amazing heart and the skills of a champion. But first of all, do you guys think that we ever see the Jon Jones fight come to fruition for him in the near future? Should he beat Rob in his next fight? The guy is incredible, so congratulations to him if he's listening to this. And also, we saw a close fight where Max came up a bit short, and we saw the power difference between him and Dustin. Regardless of the result, I still think there's question marks there. Do you guys really think Dustin is more likely to dethrone Khabib than Max would be should he given that opportunity? I'm just curious on your thoughts on the lightweight title fight to come. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Jones Adesanya, dude, I'm about it, but years down the line.
Yeah, not anytime soon.
Yeah.
John's got business at heavyweight, and Izzy's got business at middleweight.
Yeah.
Come on. Izzy weighed in at 183 pounds. People were talking about it oh, John would beat him. I'm like, well, John might beat him. John's the most talented fighter I've ever seen.
Yep.
But also, he's huge. Folks don't realize that he's a big man.
Dude, yeah.
And Izzy is not some small fry, but they're not the same size, even a little bit. So just on that level alone, that's a hard fight to make. And they both have. They're just not on a collision course. Not anytime soon.
Yeah. They both got their hands full in their own weight classes.
Yeah. By the way, Israel Adesanya has to fight Robert Whittaker. He's some bump in the road. Bro, he is ridiculous. So,
yeah.
I was a little surprised John lashed out the way he did, though.
Yeah, same here. I don't know why, though. I don't know if there's something behind
I wonder if it was the Silva goat. You know how Jones and Silva are tight?
Yeah. Well, I don't, but
they seem to be pretty tight.
Yeah, I've seen videos of them being together, and they seem pretty friendly.
So I wonder if beating him and then calling out John was
But I mean, a lot of guys have beaten Anderson Silva.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I was a little bit surprised he went
that hard with it. Also, I think something. I mean, I don't know this to be true, but what Adesanya said was interesting. John might want me now.
Sort of acknowledging there's a growth to be had. Yeah.
I mean, and it could be a potentially big fight down the line. Let's say Jon Jones just keeps wrecking everybody. 2 years from now, Adesanya, let's say he gets past Whittaker and just wrecks everybody at middleweight. In 2 years, it could be a pretty big fight. So just planting the seeds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But right now, no.
Yeah, way too early.
What was the second part of that question?
Dustin's chances against Khabib. Does he have better chances than
Max
Holloway does?
Max in some ways was a worse matchup for Khabib, which is to say the great cardio. I don't
know. After watching this fight, I do have questions.
Well, hold on. I'm not saying I'm not saying in every way Max is a worse matchup. I'm saying in some particular ways. First of all, I've been saying this for a while. I'm not saying Dustin Poirier is the same takedown threat as Khabib, but I've been trying to shout out how good Max Holloway's takedown defense is. It is hard to take him down. Very hard to take him down.
Yeah.
So that's one. Second of all, I don't think that the same kind of power punching, window finding that Poirier was able to stop and hurt Max with, not stop him in the fight, but just really slow him down. Yeah. That's not the kind of thing Khabib can do. So to me, the volume at which he could get off would be a big deal. For Poirier, though, he presents somebody who obviously has been facing just about every kind of opponent, has good takedowns himself, or takedown defense, I'm saying, and obviously a much bigger punch, which could be a game changer too. Look, I'll say this. I favor Khabib in that contest. I'm just sort of speaking candidly, but the reality is there's been a lot of guys I thought would win. And I thought Israel, I thought he was probably going to beat Gastelum. I didn't think Gastelum was going to look that way and look at it. And I didn't think Poirier was going to beat Max.
Oh, really?
And, again, I knew it was close.
On the fence about that one.
I knew both would be close.
Yeah.
But I didn't think the first round he would just rough him up that way. Dude, MMA's crazy. So
yeah,
we'll see.
It's crazy. I was on the fence that one, but I will say we do little staff picks at the site, and I did pick Poirier to win.
Very good.
Yeah,
very good.
I thought he was gonna maybe finish him like the 4th round or something like that. Like I just thought that, Poirier would pack the bigger punch, and I mean, Gaethje has crazy output, similar to Holloway in that sense. So I'm like, he's dealt with guys that put up crazy output, and who hits harder, Gaethje or Holloway? I would say probably Gaethje. So yeah, that's what I was kind of basing my pick on. But yeah, and I think there's something to be said about what Dustin Poirier said at the press conference. They asked him, he was asked like, oh, what do you think it takes to beat Khabib? And he says the right amount of crazy. Dude, Poirier is the type of guy that he's saying, like, I'm okay with not coming out of the cage the same. Like, I'm okay with leaving a piece of myself in there. Like, I want this. Dude, Poirier is a super determined guy. And you need that, because Khabib will drag you into the deep waters.
Certainly will. All right, You got one more for us?
Yeah, let's talk about Max Holloway's future and how he looked at 55 and where he goes next.
All right.
Luke, Danny, how you doing? This is George from New Jersey calling again. So much happened this weekend that I got one more. I just want to talk about Max. Now, Max moving up from 145 to 155. He is taller than Dustin, but Dustin obviously has filled out at 155, whereas you can see Max, he's big. He's bigger than he is at 145, but his body is just not framed out and filled out like Dustin's is. Do you think it'd be beneficial for Max to stay at 155 and let his body fill out and acclimate to that weight class? Or would you prefer to see him go back down to 145 and do his work there? All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so I don't really have a preference for what he chooses, although there are some great fights in either weight class.
Yep.
So I guess it would depend on the matchup, Danny, but I would say this. He needs to get, and again, like I'm qualified to make this point, but I do think this is true. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. It seems to me what we've noticed is there's a way to go into a weight class and there's a way to get out of a weight class. And it has to be a slow, deliberate, considered process. And it takes time. Dustin Poirier is a better fit at 155 than he was at 145. But to me, it wasn't until he had many camps under his belt with Phil Daru, I always mispronounce his name, where he really got the maximum use out of his body for that weight class. People were talking about how big his back looked. But go look at the exercises he does on Phil Daru's Instagram. They're not traditional bodybuilding or even Olympic lifts. They're highly specialized for him, for that weight class, for that purpose. And it takes time to do that.
Yep.
So if Max wants to do that, because it looked to me like there was a pretty clear, not merely power punching differential.
Yep, I agree.
There was a strength differential, but there wasn't a technique. I mean, there was a bit of a technique differential because they do different techniques. But what I'm saying is, in their own way, they're pretty skilled tacticians.
Yeah.
But the physicality of the weight class was bearing down on Max.
Yeah.
That has to be addressed one way or the other.
I agree. I think, to this caller's point, Dustin kind of had a long, Dustin has already had how many fights at lightweight? Like, he is a lightweight now. He's a true lightweight. This was Holloway's first fight at 155. And man, what a tough fight to make, a move up, right? You're getting a super tough fight. And yeah, he definitely looked like a 45er at 155. Although he is big at 45, there is a difference between the two. I would like to see Max Holloway go down to 45 just because, he is the champion there, and there are a couple fights left there for him. But eventually, at some point, I think he should compete at 155 just because it's overall healthier for his body, and we want the best for all the athletes involved as far as their health is concerned. But yeah, if he does make that move to 55, take your time, pack on the muscle that you need to pack, get acclimated to the weight class.
Not just bodybuilding stuff, the right kind of muscle.
Yeah. And also, you gotta spend a lot of time competing at that way, right? This was the first training camp that Max Holloway competed for 55, right? You got to do that several times for you to start getting, because I'm guessing with packing a little bit of extra weight, your timing does have to change a little bit, right? Your body does move a little bit.
That's why you can't just do it all at once.
Exactly. Yeah.
It has to be a slow process so you don't lose all the other traits you have.
Dude, and GSP has talked about this extensively. Like, he's probably the guy that first brought this to my attention years ago. Like, when they're like, yo, when are you going to move up to 185? Just do a one-off and fight, Anderson Silva. And he was just like, nah, man, this takes time. Like, there's so many things I have to do to prep. So.
By the way, I gotta tell you, I find it crazy that Luke Rockhold didn't count his calories. Don't you find that wild?
I suppose, yeah.
Find any weight loss or weight gain expert. Dr. Mike Israetel, Chad Wesley Smith. Let's see. God, I could go. These are two Renaissance periodization guys, but I could go on and on. Like the number one thing they tell you is to count calories, either to go up or to go down.
Yeah.
That has to be measured exactly. Now at 205, it's probably less of an issue. But when you were back at middleweight, you weren't counting calories. Like, I don't know. I find that crazy.
Yeah,
I find that crazy. All right. Well, look, we got one more interview to get through. Great job, my friend. And we'll catch up with you soon. Appreciate it.
All right.
There he goes, Danny Segura. Give him a follow on Twitter. He looks like Alexandre Pantoja. All right. Appreciate every guest we've had today. Israel Adesanya, Luke Rockhold. And appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't ever forget, we take your tweets using the hashtag the MMA Hour. We take your calls at 844-866-2468. I have to get out of here, but we have one more interview for you. I spoke yesterday to Maycee Barber. She was like, I got this person I really want to fight. I said, all right, well, I've got a show. Why don't we put the two together? So here is my conversation with Maycee Barber. All right, and I'm joined now by UFC strawweight contender Maycee Barber. Maycee, let's sort of get right into it. I see the cast that's on your hand there. Give us a health update. What happened there? What is the prognosis? Give us all the details.
So I fractured my thumb, and they had to go in and put 4 pins in to hold it in place after they fixed it. And so they fixed it last week and put me in a cast. So I'm in it for about 5 weeks, and then I get my pins pulled on May 7th, I believe. And then they said about 8 to 10 weeks, and I'll be completely healed. So they said that it's a difficult surgery to get everything back to normal. But once you do get everything back to normal, it's a really quick recovery. So there's like the two sides of it. Is difficult, but it's really fast to recover. So I guess it's kind of like a blessing to have that quick recovery.
So wait a second, the whole thing is 8 to 10 weeks, or it's 8 to 10 weeks once you get the pins removed?
No, the whole thing. So the first 5 weeks is with the pins, and then the second 5 weeks is without. And that's just doing like movement stuff with my hands. So
now, this happened as a consequence of the Aldrich fight?
This was, yeah, I did it in that fight. I think I did it in the first round. I remember, it was, as soon as I hit her, it was like my whole hand was like hot and tingly, and I was like, oh no, something's wrong with it. But it didn't really hurt because of the adrenaline. So that was a good thing. And then at the end of the fight, we were taking my gloves off, and I was feeling everything crunch in there, and I'm like, it's definitely broken. So, yeah.
Now, before we get to some other matters here, let me just ask you, are you at all worried about your hand health long term? Usually when you break your hand early, that can be a little dicey for long-term abilities.
No, I mean, I broke my other hand before, so I think just working on, strengthening the bones, and obviously it's a cause for concern that I'll have to, just work on the strength of my hands and my bones for sure. So long term, it just means that I need to make them stronger.
All right, fair enough. Drink the milk, I suppose.
It's really hard.
All right, so let's talk about this. So if you had an ideal time to come back to the octagon in terms of the calendar, what would it be?
August. So anytime at the end of August or September. I definitely want to fight in September at the latest. I've already talked with several people, and I would be cleared to fight within 10 weeks. So if we do 10 weeks from now, it puts me at like June 16th, and then, another 10 weeks, and I'll have a full camp. That would be August 31st, or a later date would be fine too. But I think that's perfect. And I've said it before, but I think that a really good fight for me would be Paige Van Zandt to come off the back and fight her later.
All right, so let's talk about that. Why her?
Why her? Because she's already said no. And that's a really good fight, for me anyways. And I know that she doesn't want to fight me. And last I checked, she was number 14 in the division of the flyweights. And since we're both in the flyweight division, I feel like it's a good fight.
Why do you think she said no?
Because she doesn't want to fight me. She doesn't want to lose. She wants to keep building her name and getting wins under her. And this is a fight that she could possibly lose, and she knows that. So I think that's why. Well, plus also given my history in fights, I go to finish, and I usually cut people up. So she also doesn't want to have her face damaged.
Now, when she said no before, when was that?
So the last time that she said no, I offered to step up against Rachel when she was going to fight Rachel Ostovich. And I contacted Mick when they were looking for opponents, and I said I would fight her, and he thought it was a great idea. And so he threw it out to her, and they turned it down. So we're in the same division now, so you can't keep saying no. At some point, we're going to have to fight.
Yeah, right, of course, because you had fought at 115, and I think the Aldrich fight was at 125, right, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
Right, so
yeah, it was.
Yeah, I've got bad habits. I'm still calling you a strawweight when it's actually a bit of a flyweight consideration. Okay, so let's talk about a fight like that. Give me a sense of, I know what you do, but like, and I know to Paige's credit, you would agree with this. She's also a bit of an action fighter, right?
For sure, she is. She's a high-paced fighter, and she would, she's got skills, and she's very athletic, but I'm mean, you know, and I go to finish, and she hasn't fought a ton of girls that go out to just finish, you know. There's one thing about being a fighter who is technically good, and then there's someone who has like a malicious intent to finish a fight, and I possess that. And there's only a few girls that possess that, and I know that I'm one of them, and I feel like Tatiana Suarez is another girl who's a finisher. You know, she goes out to hurt you, and we're few and far between us fighters that fight like that.
So besides you and Tatiana, because I think that's an interesting point, or actually, you know what? How about this? Male or female? Who are some fighters like that?
I don't know. Honestly, I haven't. There's not a lot of fighters that go out to just, you know, finish, and they just have this mean, I'm going to finish you, and it's not over until one of us is having a hard time either getting up or getting, you know, out of the fight. So, gosh, there's a lot of entertaining fighters, but I don't know if I've seen very many people that, you know, you're just like, wow, they just go out to finish. I don't know if I have any names yet.
Dustin Poirier is a pretty good candidate, right? Especially after last night.
Yes. Okay, there you go. Yeah, he's a killer for sure. That was an amazing fight. The fact that, you know, Max would swing and he would hit, and he had the technique, you know, but every time he would hit Dustin, he'd hit him, but Dustin wouldn't have a real reaction because the power difference was so significant. And then Dustin, every time he hit Max, you know, Max's head would like pretty much fly back. So, and that's just the power difference. So that was impressive.
What do you make of the idea of getting a fight with Van Zandt being so difficult because she's got some popularity from obviously some things she's done in the octagon, but candidly probably a lot more from outside of it. Nothing wrong with that, but I think that's a statement of fact. And so as a consequence, she knows everyone's going to try and make a name off of her. She's going to be real judicious with who she picks.
Right, yeah, there's that, you know, she probably is turning it down also because she doesn't see she can make the point of it's not a very valid fight for her because of the name that she has. But if we're talking about skills, I mean, everyone has to fight everyone at some point. I mean, she had to fight up in terms of, you know, she went and fought Michelle Waterson, and if you're looking at it, she had to fight up to get to where she's at, and Michelle had to fight down. So if we're thinking about it, I want to fight up to get to where I want to be, and I have to show that I have the skills. So Paige has to fight down, you know, like you can't always fight someone who's way above you. You know, you have to fight. Sometimes you're going to have to fight people back to prove that you are where you need to be.
Now, I believe she had her own health issues, right? She's got I don't know if she has a similar problem to you, but a similar problem in the sense of she can't come right back to the octagon, if I'm not mistaken. What do you know about that?
Yeah, I think she has a fractured arm, and the last I checked, she had re-broke it where her pins are. So hopefully she gets that figured out, and hopefully she's healing well again. But she made the statement, you know, she wants to fight in summer, and so do I, and I think that's good, you know. Now, if we could get that to work out, that'd be perfect. But I hope she at least heals up and comes back because, you know, there's a lot of girls, not just me, that would like to fight her. Not only because we believe that that we are more skilled than her, but we also see the star potential that, you know, you can build off of that name. So that's a lot of followers that she has that would be eyes on the fight and only get you more publicity as well.
So let me ask you here very quickly, if I can. You were a strawweight, now a flyweight, but there's 2 title fights coming up, one for each of those weight classes. Let me pick your brain on this one if I can. You got Rose Namajunas taking on Jessica Andrade. How do you see that one going?
You know, I think Rose obviously is the more technical fighter, but actually I saw the size difference. Holy moly. I didn't realize how small Andrade is. But I also believe that Andrade is a pressure fighter. You know, she pressures in, and she's just one of those girls that no matter how many times you hit her, she's just going to keep coming forward. So I think, you know, if Rose can deal with the pressure, she'll be fine. But Andrade might break her. You know, the pressure might break her, the mental pressure, because Rose has been broken before. And it doesn't matter how technical you are as a fighter or how hard you can hit. If you don't have the mental game on point every single time, then and if you break, you break yourself. So we'll see. But I think if technically Rose could win, but mentally, you know, if Andrade can get inside and put the pressure on her, then Rose will break.
And then in the flyweight division, you have Shevchenko taking on Jessica Ai. Again, your sense of things there.
You know, I like Jessica Ai and I like Valentina as well. Valentina, I think, wins this fight as much as I would like to see Jessica come out with the win. But I just, you know, Valentina's just a strong, solid fighter. I mean, she's not lacking anywhere. And so it's going to take a really good athlete and a really good fighter to win that fight. And you know, Jessica's got wrestling and she's got all that stuff, but so does Valentina. And I feel like that's almost something that we don't get to see as much because Valentina does so much of the Muay Thai style when she stands up and fights other girls. You know, they only get through the striking or they go to the decision through the strikes. So Valentina is not bad on the ground at all. So if Jessica tries to wrestle with her, that could end up in Valentina's favor as well.
When you think about your path to the title, because we all know about your ambitions and relative to your age and what you want to do, and of course you have many steps in front of you before we even get there, but I'm just wondering in your mind, when you think about it, is that a path to Valentina, or do you say to yourself, who knows who's going to have the title by the time that happens?
Honestly, you know, who knows? Because I could see myself fighting at 125 this fight and maybe not in the next fight. You know, I would like to see myself go and give it another shot at 115 again. The nutrition and the metabolism is something we've been working at. So it could be a path to Valentina. I feel like Valentina at the 125 division, Valentina is going to stay champ for a while. At the 115 division, you know, if let's just say that Andrade gets the win, then she wins, then I think that Tatiana Suarez is going to be the one that is a path to her. You know, we've been paying a lot of attention, and it was even said last night in the fights is, in the women's strawweight division, nobody has wrestling like Tatiana. And the first thing I saw when I saw that was, I was like, not for long, because you know, we're working on that wrestling now. So we're going to make improvements, and we're going to change that. You know, it's not going to be Tatiana has the best wrestling in the strawweight division. It's going to be Maycee Barber has the best wrestling in the strawweight division. But you know, it could be also a path to her. So we'll see. You know, that anything can happen. As we saw last night, anything can happen, and we'll see what happens.
All right, well, I know you got a lot of traveling to do. I have some work as well myself. It was always good to catch up with you and check in. Hope you get that Paige Van Zandt fight, and I guess we'll have to see, in your words, what happens next.
For sure. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Maycee.